But yeah, son, I wanted to do this as a call-in show, so feel free to pile on, although obviously I didn't manage to include you into the announcement.
Howdy.
Hello there.
How is it looking? Let's have a look at
Yeah, let's look at the charts.
elections.
Let's look at the charts. Let's look at the charts. Okay, it's not looking bad. All of the suspected blue strongholds are still consistently blue. So I expected nothing less. Vermont kinda okay, I'm not gonna say that it's close because it's not. New Hampshire purple. Massachusetts reliably blue, disgusting. That is why I disavow my state of birth. Pennsylvania, kind of bluer than I would like. We're still at very low reporting thresholds, though.
Yeah, it's like, what's the most we're seeing? 38 from Texas?
Probably, yeah. Although East Coast, it's a wonder why East Coast is not deeper in. They should have started counting a little bit more.
Yeah, you'd think so, but you got like Virginia on 34, but the rest are like 20s, 10s.
Vermont 35. Yeah.
Ohio 38.
Yeah, there it is. Also Kamala. Interesting. I guess they don't want to keep their pets. What can I say? It's always the cities. It's always the fucking cities.
Yeah, it'll be the cities reporting first.
Yeah, and the cities are also always deep blue.
Blue.
Yeah.
Blue as it gets.
Fuckwits.
The exact same pattern that we get here.
Unctuous urbanites.
You should see some of the constituency gerrymandering we have here.
Please explain.
The borders get pretty wild. Like you have a chunk of a inner city area, and then it extends out into the countryside a bit.
Oh, Florida 90.
Some of those.
Florida 90%. Sorry to cut you off there.
Wait, what?
Florida reporting at 90%.
Oh wow, that they got through that quickly.
Yeah, again, East Coast. They should have started early.
Then again, I guess most of their voting is probably coming into retirement homes.
If you want gerrymandering, look at all districts of Sheila Jackson Lee. Spits. Yeah, rest in piss.
Every party gerrymanders.
Sure, but listen, she was like an actual fucking harmful element while also being like below room temperature IQ.
Yeah, looking here, it's
San Antonio, which is, by the way, Sheila Jackson Lee's former district. She referred to herself as a fucking queen.
Oh god.
Cringe. She's the one who authored the infamous "as heavy as 10 boxes that you would be moving" line. That was her. She was very famous about talking about shit she barely knows anything about. Well, to be fair,
heavy as 10 boxes? I don't get this one.
She said that she held an AR-15 in her hands, and it was, quote, as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving, and that was somehow contributing to it being dangerous and unusual and needing to be banned.
10 boxes of what?
Feathers? I don't fucking know. Listen, she was barely. I suspect that she was barely 90 IQ. So,
if that,
like not even a midwit. Just seeing her talk.
I would want her to define a box in this situation. I mean, if she was making that and I was there, and I was like, okay, define a box for me, please.
Listen, she would struggle with telling you how she would feel if she didn't have breakfast this morning, is all I'm going to say.
I love how that has become a meme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a wonderful meme. I really like when people start trying to debunk it. That is the funniest thing ever. Oh, that was never a real study. There's no peer-reviewed paper about that because, of course. Like, I need a peer-reviewed paper to grasp the possibility of stupid people being incapable of entertaining hypotheticals, especially if I can test that theory in vivo.
Exactly. She's saying kind of, as the Dobu fought increased troop counts with capsized Guam?
What? Well, don't you know? You put more people on an island and then the island capsizes.
That's not how islands work.
Hey there, bigger branch. I don't know who. Listen, I'm not going to compel a vote because that would be hypocritical. But I'll just tell you that I voted for the party that's not threatening to take away my private property or tax me to death.
Which one's that these days?
That would at this time, the Republicans have not been threatening that.
This time, at least.
This time, at least, yes. There was Ronald Reagan, so their track record is a mixed bag. You know, actually, reason I actually maintain that the Republican Party, as it was envisioned, died under Lincoln. It was overtaken by Whigs, but the current sort of spiritually Whig Party has been overtaken by libertarians. So the duopoly is now not Democrats and Republicans, it's actually Democrats and libertarians who are still being weighed down by straggler rhinos.
Okay, son, I'll give you a basic idea. Very badly.
The
They
UK,
don't have campaign spending laws.
well, we do have campaign spending laws. We have specific limits on who can spend on who can direct money, on who can donate. There is a specific structure that people are required to follow, and it's
Yes,
fairly
we have
transparent.
that, but we also have limits on how much they can even have.
I mean, what's
Like
the point of an
to
upper
begin,
limit?
it seems reasonable to me to have an upper limit.
Ah,
Purely because you don't want it becoming a question of who can raise the biggest war chest to
well, I mean,
engage in the most advertising.
well, that while you are not wrong in principle, and I think Freakonomics had discovered some kind of correlation between campaign spending and yeah, Hillary outspent Trump. I think that at a certain point, campaign spendings sort of plateau off. The best you can get with just mainline campaign spending is basically buying ads, and the ads only go so far. In less contentious elections, like in the good times that bear weak men, I think campaign spending becomes more of a factor.
I would say there is another benefit. The amount of ads that we have to deal with and the amount of mail drops are a lot smaller. It's like basically you get one mail drop per party who has over a certain threshold.
Well, yeah, you also have a multi-party system, which
Yeah, so it's like
we technically
realistically
we
you
technically
get four.
do also have, like, we have the Green Party, we have the large L Libertarian party that's also they're on the ballot, like you can, or if they're not on the ballot, you can have write-ins.
Yeah, Jill Stein's in third. The Green Party
Good.
candidate.
Who would have thought? Well, both with zero electoral votes, you'll love to see it.
I mean, if they get one, I would laugh. If they get
Yeah.
one state, that'd be funny.
Well, that's they're never getting one state. See, the thing is that the Libertarian Party had the opportunity to join the actual current Libertarian Party. Like the closest thing we would ever get with to a Libertarian Party in mainstream politics is just the takeover of the Republicans by the Freedom Caucus. And I love to see it. Like they're representing my talking points and my issues. No, you don't hate Jill Stein because of her lawsuit in Michigan in 2016 gave us very informative results. Yeah, sure, sure. But then again, I think that the conscientious thing to do for a third party candidate would be to throw their support behind a viable one.
Or maybe just, take them out back, put them down.
Ah, well, see, again, that's why, for example, why I really like what RFK did. He did the smart play. He coalitioned with the party that aligns with what he wants to do. I think that the boost that RFK gave Trump is non-insignificant because like he was representing a lot of issues that I actually really wanted to see covered, and like while it wouldn't have swung me over to vote for him over Trump, it sort of relieves that internal conflict of mine because I just get both for the price of one.
It gives Trump a certain gravitas to have a person from another party endorsing him,
Well, he has
even if it's a
multiples.
minor one.
I wouldn't say that RFK is a minor person from the Democratic Party. He is a Kennedy. He's
Oh, this is RFK from the Democrat Party. Okay, I didn't realize that one.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
this was the Libertarian.
No, 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 no. Well, the RFK is in God, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Wait, wasn't this the guy with the brainworms?
No, he's not. I don't believe he had brainworms. I'm not sure. He has a very unfortunate voice because he had some kind of condition that affected his throat. I think now that you mention it, he did have something like that, but it was treated. So he mostly runs on. You also like that Trump said he wouldn't let him touch environment, which is fair. Listen, he's a little bit overzealous on his environmental work as a lawyer, but I really like his platform about really clamping down on the FDA, actually forcing them to do real work, stopping prioritizing the interests of pharmaceutical companies, and rehashing our healthcare system.
I You gotta give the FDA some credit. They did stop thalidomide in the USA.
Sure, sure. Now let's pull the same thing for corn syrup, okay?
Although to be fair, the only reason they stopped thalidomide in the USA is because it was a new girl and she said she was going to do it by the book, and she did.
There
She
you
followed the rules and did her job.
go.
Got a presidential medal for it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh
good enough.
dear.
Well, that sort of brings good enough for government work in a whole new meaning. What about the
Yeah.
endorsement from Rogan? Is that significant, or are the internet personalities still too small to care about? I think Rogan is the standout internet personality. He is the only internet personality that matters because he also has a very dense orbit of other content creators around him. And I think even without a formal endorsement from Rogan, it's first of all, it's very good that he did it in the 11th hour. A lot of people see Bigger Branch, not necessarily. A lot of Rogan fans are fence sitters. They are the hardline utopian libertarian stoners who that's why I think that the last minute endorsement is very good because being heavy pot smokers, they just don't have the long term memory to remember who they're supposed to vote for more than 12 hours. Um,
I suppose it also gives them less time to ruminate on it.
yeah, I think the best endorsement that Rogan could have done is just invite Trump to and Vance to the podcast and then extend the same invitation to Kamala's campaign. That was the
Wait,
best
you did?
endorsement. He did. He did. They were Kamala and fucking Waltz were invited to do the podcast. It's just that
Yeah, they basically refused.
well, they tried to shoehorn him into a format that just was not him. They wanted to force him to take a flight out to her campaign. He would be limited to an hour, and like he would be basically surrounded by her handlers, and they would be in a hyper controlled environment. And it's very likely that he would not be allowed an opportunity to. It would have been a train wreck either way.
Yeah. I mean, he made the right call saying no to that, I would
Yeah,
say.
because it would have been his liability. Zoom in on Detroit, Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit. I forget
No
what's the
shit. Detroit's going red, son.
No.
Well, listen, that's what the map says. How many
What's
votes
the
do we?
reporting? Do we have figures for
It's
it? No, we
it's
don't.
6%. It's 6%. It's a little bit too early to call, but it is funny.
I'll laugh. If Detroit goes red, I will laugh.
Listen, I mean, uh, while Jamez is correct in his estimation that people probably won't learn, I want to hold out hope. I want to see at least some people somewhere pull their head out of their ass.
I mean, it does happen. Here in the UK, you had the UKIP surge and then Reform surge.
Yeah, I am very uncomfortable by Texas being 50% reported, and it's still very deeply purple. I am deeply uncomfortable by that.
So you never know. You never know what'll happen.
Fort Worth went red. Austin proper blue. North Austin red. Interesting.
Yes, Nigel
Hmm.
Farage is British.
At least for now.
Shockingly enough.
At least for now, until they deport him and strip him of his citizenship. Detroit was red in 2020. You watched it happen before it
Oh, he's
was
an American. I wouldn't be
fortified.
shocked. Actually, he might not be. It might be a little iffy for him to be over there because he is a sitting MP.
Nigel Farage? Oh. Well, I mean, there's no issue for him to be in America during the visit. He has the right to visit, I assume, at least in a diplomatic function.
Um, no,
No,
sort of. It gets complicated because as a private citizen, yes, he can.
but not as a
He
member of
can
parliament.
wander over, but as a member of parliament, there are certain expectations. Like he can't be seen to be doing anything that could be regarded as diplomatic work.
Ah, okay, okay. But yeah, no, Terry is right. The Labor has actually sent a lot of their operatives to the U.S.
Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
there were British consultants to Kamala's campaign. Thank you for the tea, Crispian.
That was, I guess, not terribly surprising, but at the same time, it was like, fucking hell, lads.
Yeah, I think I think Kamala's campaign didn't read the room as, they typically do, in understanding that they're facing a very different election environment. Like the choice here is not between Democrats and Democrats, but not so fast. The choice here is, do we become Europe derogatory, or do we basically stay as the United States?
Labour got the elect. Yeah, Labour won. I was saying this very early before the UK elections. Labour was going to get in not because of their own merits, but because of the Tories' failures.
No, Terry, I'm not fascinated about this map because Texas purple, Kansas purple, Missouri purple, Georgia purple. I am not loving these numbers. North Carolina purple.
Yeah, but it's like 2%,
Okay.
5%.
Okay, Ohio is tipping into red at least because it was blue a moment ago. Real Texas isn't reporting yet. God, I fucking hope. Well, to be fair, I'm surprised and impressed that at least North Austin went red. I'm kind of happy about that because I expected worse given the 2022 Senate, the not the Senate, the Congress election, the midterms.
Oh, which was the state that had all the flooding? North Carolina, was it?
Oh, right now, yes, it was North Carolina. There was a bit in Florida. So
How are
usually,
they basically
usually
going red?
but well, Florida has been a red state ever since, I'm gonna say,
Oh yeah, Florida,
2016.
yeah.
It used to be a swing state. It used to be purple. So, and yeah, I'd say it's pretty solid red right now. I So far it's actually looking like the popular vote is also going to be on Donald Trump's side. However, California is going to sway that pretty hard.
Yeah, California is going to be
It's very populous.
interesting.
It's very populous.
The cities are massive, yeah.
Florida has election laws now. Yeah, that explains a lot.
California will be so blue you'll be able to see it from space.
Ellie Rebel, welcome to the chat. We need to sink California no matter what happens. See, I disagree with that. I think we should reconquer California because not all of California is bad. It's just Los Angeles, San Diego, and like the larger cities. Like most of California is okay. It's still populated by pretty okay people. California used to be great, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
until
get rid of it.
until the Reagan amnesty, it still used to be good, and it also used to be consistently red.
Get rid of its major cities, and you'll also solve their incredible water issues.
Yep, yep. So if
Whose idea was to build giant cities where there's not a lot of water?
yeah. California loves to overbalance the popular vote. They're basically allowed to overcount as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, especially after they've criminalized asking for ID for when you vote. Doesn't the Hoover Dam provide water to California? No, the Hoover Dam is in Nevada.
Yeah, the it's not the Hoover Dam. I forget what dam it is, but Problem is, there's just not enough water going into the area.
Bigger Branch, I don't entirely agree with that. Like, there are fine American cities. Like, most of them are pretty okay. The ones that you hear the most about are shitholes. And those just happen to be Seattle, LA, New York, Chicago. It's not because they're largest, it's just because they're Democrat run and, notoriously bad to be in. Miami is also a respectably large city. It's also a very comfortable city to live in, despite the fact that it's in Florida. Grid cities are a crime against humanity? Not really. Grid
No,
cities,
I have to agree.
why though? Grid cities are the most efficient way to not have constant traffic.
No, they're terrible.
Okay, propose a better structure.
Realistically, cities historically emerge organically. They grow out from an initial settlement and grow as needed.
Okay. But they
Grid cities are basically top-down planning.
well, so grids are just basically the road systems, right?
Yeah, to an
So
extent.
ergo, all you have to
Press
do
closer.
is just have roads that sit in a grid. How is that inherently bad? If you build around the roads that sit in a grid, because I will show you something unsettling. Here is Kyoto, a city that was built quote unquote organically. And as you can see, it follows a grid structure. You have your mainline streets that are derived from the major bridges that cross the Kamo River, and then you have avenues that cross it.
Hmm. It'd be interesting to see, did they plan this ahead of time or did it emerge as a consequence of how they were building?
So the city itself was planned to, like, the city started from the north, from around the Imperial Palace. That is basically where
Okay.
it started growing from, and then it started sprawling out basically in every direction. So all of this around the garden, this used to be where people who either served inside of the palace, nobles, service
So it
personnel.
was built to be the capital.
Yes, it was specifically built to be the capital, and basically from that point, the roads were already settled in a grid-like section, just going off of that. And then it's spread as a grid, and the grid usually only starts warping when it gets closer to mountains, just because the topography of the area is such.
Yeah.
So grid cities, I disagree with grid cities being inherently bad. They have a use case for it. I've lived in a city that is not a grid city. I've lived in Moscow, which is a circular city. I may as well pull up the map just to demonstrate why that is really not a great way to structure your road systems. Which is a
Wasn't
bit
Moscow built like that as a military consideration?
not really no.
Something fortifications?
No. So
Why'd they do it?
Uh, fuck if I know. Usually, the only other case where you would build rings around cities is
Oh, it's like a
on
ring road.
lumber mills. So you will have your central development area, and then you will start stripping the area out, and as you take resources outwards, and that's why a ring sort of makes sense because you're drawing your resources down mainline roads. Central heat distribution? Not really. All of Russia has central heat. Moscow is the only city with a structure like that. But basically, the city is divvied up into, okay, so larger Moscow now has a bigger sort of. So there's the big highway. Then you sort of zoom into, which is still like technically larger Moscow. This is your like outer ring.
It's
Um,
basically a ring road.
it is a ring road, and the real estate prices also typically go like at least 30% up every time you cross a ring road closer into the city. So
Yeah,
you're
we tend to have ring roads around major cities in the UK. They're for bypassing it, or so you don't have to drive in the city itself. You
yeah, but
drive out of the city onto the ring road, then back in.
that alone makes sense, but Moscow has ring roads inside of the city. So it creates horrendous traffic jams
That
Whenever
is weird.
whenever you have an exit from a ring road or entrance onto the ring road, these become bottlenecks for traffic.
I get the feeling that somebody, when they were planning this, was taught about the idea of ring roads and thought, what if we have 5?
For example, St. Petersburg is more of a grid-like city. Granted, they had more rivers, and it was a city that was built on a marsh, so the topography was not as even, but it is still effectively a grid-like city, and because of that, it doesn't have the horrendous traffic problems that Moscow has.
Hmm.
So there you go. Yeah, it works well if vehicles are fairly sparse. That's true. So the more you know. I've tried non-grid like cities. They're not great. More easy to defend to control the ring roads. Again, Mandalore, the ring roads were not built in from a consideration of siege and defense because other older cities in Russia don't share the same structure. They have the outside ring roads. Yes, Moscow is an anomaly. It just I don't know. There probably wasn't
Well,
a cognizant reason as to why that was done.
were these roads predominantly built during the Soviet era?
No. Oh no, it depends on which ones. The central most ones were built pre-Soviet. The I'm going to
Oh,
say
that is unexpected.
the outer ones, everything that's beyond what's referred to as the third ring was already Soviet construction.
That is unexpected.
Why do I still have K Tactical up? We're no longer talking about that. Oh, right. I have my Warhammer 40K article saved for you.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Let's actually. You know
Unpacking
what?
the hideousness
The
of a space marine.
oh,
Oh,
that is
dear.
so horrific. Again, does not. He does have his own dedicated page. Just a second. Does not pass the physiognomy check. Absolutely not. Completely hopeless. Never had a chance. Consider mouth breathing less.
Clapped out Soul Reaver enthusiast? This guy likes Soul Reaver and he's writing shit like this?
Yeah.
I am disgusted. How can he have a good taste in the game?
Listen,
Soul Reaver's amazing.
Soul Reaver is an amazing game. I think he's of the type that is a little bit too knee jerk about anything structured already being fascism. Like having rules is fascism for people like that.
I'm still
It's
absolutely disgusted.
it's more of an internal problem of his rather than him reacting consistently to outside stimuli is what I'm saying.
Even so,
Because for one,
from
like
someone who likes Soul Reaver, I expect better.
again, a lot of his takes are just wrong. Like Warhammer 40K supposedly satirical, which it wasn't for the better part of 20 years now, because the setting has been desatirized. It has very specifically gone into a grimdark direction as opposed to the White Dwarf magazines.
Yeah, it's got its goofy elements, but the days of Inquisitor Sherlock Clouseau are long gone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the even the sort of the shit take elements are like very, very few and far between.
Yeah, let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
Had to make the Space Marines less like Space Marines. That's to say, less like semi-lobotomized, hypnotically indoctrinated slave soldiers.
See, like I can feel the bile towards every school bully that he's ever had in his life because that's just not an accurate representation. It is the hatred that he feels towards every man who is stronger than him and very possibly his father with whom he doesn't have a good relationship.
I
Because
mean, it's not entirely incorrect
well, okay, so let's start
when you break it
semi-lobotomized.
down.
Well, even if you break it down, like semi-lobotomized is just factually wrong. Like, isn't is the every Space Marine, thanks in part to their augmentations, has basically a an above genius IQ by modern standards.
Yeah, they're often presented as having difficulty understanding mortals, though.
Well, that's a frame of reference problem,
Yeah,
not a lobotomy problem. They are incredibly
I can see
smart.
where he's coming from, but he is off. Yeah.
I mean, it's just factually wrong. Yeah, no, Terry is on the spot there. It is incorrect and ignorant because, like, Space Marines. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Astartes have canonically have eidetic memories. Like the Codex Astartes is a document that all of them know by heart, and it is a tremendously complex compendium to read, understand, and retain.
Even the Black Templars memorize it, if only so they could ignore it.
So that they can ignore it better. Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing to ignore it from ignorance, it's another thing entirely to ignore it with intent.
Yes, yes, absolutely based. By the way, did you know that they canonized the cleansing of their first shipment of Primaris Marines?
Yeah, they killed them all, didn't
Of
they?
a specific crusade when they received their shipment of Primaris Marines. I don't remember if they killed the Custodes that were with them as well, but they proclaimed them to be techno heresy and therefore just cleansed the entire lot.
That's Black Templars for
I
you.
mean, they're also technically not wrong because Astartes and their gene seed are the work of the Emperor, and the Mechanicus cult tempering with it is technically heresy.
Just ignore all of the Space Marine chapters with chimeric gene seed.
No, I mean, given that half of them had to be purged anyway, it's sort of still up in the air.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, I mean, what was the one that spontaneously was set alight and then the Grey Knights had to purge it?
Oh yeah, I forget what their name was, but they literally all
Flame.
just started setting on fire. It's like it wasn't hurting them. It was
Yeah.
hurting the enemies of the Emperor, and they're like, "Holy shit, what a gift from the Emperor!" And the Inquisition just went, "No, we don't like fun. We don't like fun.
Yeah, basically.
We're not gonna let you hug the enemies of the Emperor to death."
That would have been nice to see. So yeah, he's already wrong on the baseline lore. Hypnotically indoctrinated slave soldiers. That's what got me. Slave soldiers, as opposed to fucking what exactly?
It's not entirely inaccurate,
But
but it sort of loses the
it's
intent.
well, first of all, it's very loaded. Second of all, like who voluntarily becomes a slave? Because aspirants enroll into chapters voluntarily, unless they're being kidnapped by a warband.
That recruiting practices vary.
Okay, but
You've got the Ultramarines where they are literally applicants who
Yeah.
go through a multi-stage training process, and then you have chapters who just grab screaming children from murder warbands and go, "You're an Astartes aspirant now."
Again, I think the former is more prevalent than the latter, at least amongst loyal Astartes.
It really depends on the chapter. Like, if they're recruiting from a Hive City's gangs, they're basically 9 times out of 10 just going to be grabbing screaming children from gangs. And these children will still be like roided up murder machines trying to stab them with a knife. But
You'll love
even
to
still,
see it. You'll love to see it.
they'll have a physique that puts a modern day bodybuilder to shame
Nice.
at 12 years old.
Yeah, there you go. That is the recruiting
Hive gangs.
age. Yeah, there you go. Like, see, again, I think that to call them slave soldiers is entirely dishonest, given that a good bulk of the recruitment is still voluntary. There is a gigantic filtration system and qualification system. And on top
I
of
would
that,
say child soldiers is probably better and still more accurate.
yeah, child soldiers would have been a better angle, but then again, like, see, that's the thing. There's a lot of bile in the way this article is written.
Although it is also worth pointing out, once you're in that recruitment pipeline, you're in.
You're in, of course. But again, consider, is there an occupation with better odds of survival in the 40K universe outside of being a descendant of a rogue trainer and a planetary governor?
I mean, a farmer who's not on an agri world?
A farmer, are there farmers not on an agri world?
Well, presumably so. Most worlds have their own internal economy and don't really
or,
rely
or a low effort worker on a paradise world, fair enough. But probabilistically, like Astartes, like on average, enrolling into an Astartes chapter is probably your best odds of survival and not just being cannon fodder. Like not being not being part of the tithes, not dying in a random invasion.
I mean, most worlds, they don't see a god raising for like hundreds of years at a time.
Aren't they supposed to supply regular tithes that include men under arms?
It depends entirely on their tithe grade.
Okay.
The bureaucracy has a whole system for this, deciding on what you give and when you give it and how much you're giving.
Yeah, there you go, bigger branch. It's not like many people have a good time in 40K. That's sort of the point of 40K.
Yeah, 40K sucks.
Yeah. Enthralls to an uncaring and possibly non-existent god. That is also
Okay, yeah, no,
yeah, that is
that's
just
heresy.
that is
That is hardcore heresy.
first of all heresy, second of all factually untrue because well
Yeah, he is literally on the golden throne.
exactly. He is literally there. You can see the Astronomicon from space. That is sort of the
Yeah,
point.
just ask your local navigator
If he can see the
So-
God Emperor.
and they'll be like, "Yep, I see him, and he is screaming extra loud today."
uh oh god.
Uncaring.
Not according to
I can argue that one. Yeah, that one I can accept. I can tolerate that.
See, I don't agree with that. I think that he is callous, but he is not uncaring. At least definitely not
In his
about
current form.
Well, listen, you get strapped into a non-stop torture machine just for the purposes of maintaining warp travel. You're gonna get resentful. It's not out of malice that he's uncaring. It is because there's so little of him left inside that he doesn't have the bandwidth to care too much. And even
Yeah.
still, we still see miracles of the Emperor.
Yeah. I'd accept uncaring, but possibly non-existent. That's where I have to go. Right? No.
Well, yeah,
Silly.
it's a tips fedora moment. It is someone who's a tourist in the setting and doesn't understand who the imperial cult is referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't even know that the Latitio Divinitatis was written by Lorgar.
Yeah. Well, very likely. Space Marines genetically engineered. Big E's entire thing was going on big picture of everything. He wasn't allowed the freedom to care about individuals. It was completely about the task at hand.
I mean, messianic figure reduced to a dreaming corpse on the Golden Front. He literally just said he was non-existent.
He's a dipshit. What can I say?
Internal inconsistency.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Space Marines are grotesque supermen clad in motorized armor. Have you seen the old Rogue Trader era pictures of Space Marines?
I have.
Very North coded.
Yes. Very, very, very North. Let me actually try to find those, actually.
The ultimate embodiment of patriarchal xenophobic fascism?
Can you tell that he doesn't have a great relationship with his dad?
I don't think he has a good relationship with his life.
I wonder how the two are connected.
I mean,
I'm getting scans of the White Dwarf magazine and pretty late editions. I'm not seeing peak North. This one is kind of North. This one kind of North.
what you'll probably want to look for is Rogue Trader.
Oh, Rogue Trader. Okay.
Yeah, Rogue Trader Space Marine drawing, because obviously these days you'll get the video game. Yeah, you want to look up like art, because this is the era when they were like at their most silly.
Okay, let's see. Getting a little Giger in there. Old Warhammer had a certain charm to it.
It does. This is the days before Blanche really like defined the settings vibe.
Yeah, that's kind of North.
That was it. That's it.
Ah,
So North.
So North. Love me sustenance paste. Hate the orcs. Death to the Xenos. Simple as.
And of course, the Beakies.
Just a second. Calling of states right now. Wait, what? Just a second. We forgot the topic of the stream just this moment. We got distracted.
Wait, what the hell is this? 0%? But it's called for Donald Trump? Wyoming, what are you doing?
Dante's shit posting in my DMs. I'll pull up a picture in just a second. God, it's not very
Nebraska
convenient.
calls for Trump with Harris in the lead. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That's, mind you, that's 26%.
Yeah. It's too early to call on a lot of these.
Some of these are way too early to
I
call. It's like
really
South
just
Dakota.
wait, New Mexico. Kamala is not even in the lead. New Mexico is split between libertarians and Republicans.
Wait, where's New Mexico? I don't know my Americans. Oh, there it is.
It's right. It's to the west of Texas.
Oh, I would love that.
Jeb finally won.
I would love it if the Libertarian Party won New Mexico. I would laugh.
That would be so funny. I don't so see I don't want them to win New Mexico, but I want them to get more than the Democrats. That would be so good. That would be unironically so funny. With Chase Oliver, a nothing burger candidate. That feel when your candidate is so bad, even the libertarians are winning. Many such cases. Hey there, Atropa, how are you doing?
I would laugh if he beat. If they took it, I would laugh.
It's
but I'd be happy with him beating Kamala.
It's unlikely, but it is very funny. It's only 1% of the vote in, so
Trump's only leading him by 1 vote.
Drinking mead and about to have a fire. Set fires responsibly, I guess. Is it homemade mead, or is it taxed mead? Let's move on. Oh, I promised a picture. Just a second. Let's see.
Ash fire and homemade cherry mead.
Oh, very nice.
Just be careful with what you're burning. I have seen some hilarious consequences of people burning their trash before.
Taxes? What are those? Based.
The tip.
Yeah, remember
tip your government.
Tip your local poll workers. Horrific. Okay.
Tip your government. The F-35 needs more funding.
Worst case scenario, your night cosplay goes up in flames. Ooh, see, I wouldn't want to see your work go to waste. Did you go and vote? I trust I have. I ask only to shame those in chat who didn't. I'm pretty certain you probably did go and vote. Okay. Where did we stop?
Grotesque Superman, ultimate embodiment of patriarchal xenophobic fascism.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Again, patriarchal xenophobic fascism, as opposed to fucking what? You're an apolitical streamer? So am I, Atropa. I just like to see guys in power who are not threatening to take my guns and tax me to death. Tip the government. I think
it's kind of funny here that they use this term when the Space Marines are very clearly an apolitical organization. Like they don't do politics.
Well, yes, they do. Well,
except for the Ultramarines.
Wow, and they only do politics on their own world.
Yeah, they've got their own little corner.
Imperium Secundus, yes. We know
good old Ultramar.
We don't talk about that one anymore. People are psychos.
No, they still got Ultramar.
No. Well, they still have Ultramar. They still have Macragge, and they have like the sector of space there. They just no longer call it Imperium Secundus.
Actually, I remember after Girly Man came back, he went, right, I'm retaking control of the 500 worlds. Fuck you.
Yeah, as expected.
But I mean, the patriarchal angle. Okay, yeah, they're a brotherhood. Fine.
Again,
xenophobic.
See, that's not what he means when he says patriarchal. Patriarchal, I know, but... in the definition of the repugnant bug eater, is being meritocratic and having an enforced hierarchy. That is what he means by patriarchal. It means that he can't ask to, like, there's not enough representation in the command structure of your average Space Marine chapter.
I mean, in the case of the Ultramarines, in Space Marine 2, you've got white guy, Asian guy, black guy.
What more
representation do you want?
Yeah, there you go. And if that guy isn't black enough, you can always play salamanders.
I hate what Games Workshop did with the salamanders.
What did they do with the salamanders? Just a second
Okay,
before you answer, I just want to read that shout out. Atropa may have spent her stream dressed as a Teutonic knight and singing medieval music, but generally avoid politics. I am sorry, but Deus Vult is a political proclamation and prescription.
there's Vault.
Yeah, Crespian, I'm not sure they're melanated. It's more like they're asphalted.
Okay, so the Salamander story. They started out as a fan-made chapter.
Okay.
A black guy, obviously, made his own Space Marine chapter.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And Games Workshop loved it. So they're like, hey, can we have this? And he was like, yeah, man, whatever. So they took it. You know, the classic I made this meme.
And made them all very black.
And for a long time, they were just black dudes. That was it. The people from their world were black. Vulcan was black. Happy coincidence. That was all it was. And then for some reason, Games Workshop went, no, let's change that. Let's make them into absolute fucking demonic monsters.
But I do like the look, though. They look very cool, especially when the Astartes guide started. When he made, what was it, Exodite? No, not Exodite. What was the fucking Pariah Nexus? Yeah. Let me find it. Pariah Nexus looks very cool.
It's a look, and it contrasts with their generally friendly characterization.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm never gonna forgive them for that, because it was such a goofy ass thing for them to do.
Listen, I just want the oh god, what are they called? The Retributors chapter, the ones from the Astartes movie, to be a canon chapter. I just want that. I think they're called Retributors.
Your dudes are always canon.
Well, I want them like playable canon.
They are playable.
Well, not in the. Well, they are playable in the tabletop, not in any of the officially licensed media.
I don't know. You could probably do them in Space Marine 2.
The
chapter symbol might be a bit of a struggle, but
people have modded them into Space Marine 2. I really like the scene with the salamander. Like it just works so good. I'm just gonna have.
I mean, this one doesn't have him helmetless, so you don't really get to see him do it. Get to see how monstrous he is.
Does it not? Oh, it probably doesn't have that in its scene. You're right.
Yeah, he's still wearing his helmet in this one.
I really like the way he just manhandles the guardsman.
Oh yeah, and this is him being relatively gentle. You know,
yeah,
can quite easily just like bats off a guy's head with a backhand.
Yeah.
It'll be later on because he removes his helmet to. There we go.
Yeah.
Brother Sakan of Squad Varlock, Salamander's 3rd Battle Company.
Oh, come on, give us the goods. There we go. I mean, look at him.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking demon.
Exactly, and this isn't even like the worst depiction of him. A lot of them have like literally glowing eyes and coal black skin.
Well, he does have coal black skin. He does. I don't think his eyes glow as much. They sort of toned him down a little bit for realism's sake.
Yeah, in this lighting, he's more blue.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just used to be that they were just black guys, and that was it.
Well, the lore is now this.
Yeah, the lore is now this, and I just don't like that change.
Yeah. Also, on the subject of xenophobic, that is also just categorically untrue about the Space Marines, because Space Marines as an institution are culturally agnostic.
I mean, they're not afraid of Xenos.
Well,
Xenos are afraid of them.
Justifiably so. But here's the thing. Xenophobia as a term is still an interspecies term. It relates to people of other creeds and cultures. The Space Marines are not that. Like, they are a bulwark of all of humanity, not specific components or cohorts of humanity. Like, you don't have to be of a specific culture from a recruitment world to enroll into an Astartes chapter. You just need to be from their recruiting world. Like, there's no prescription there. So I would say that calling
Unless
them
the chapter in question does for whatever reason.
sure, but again, those
You
are
know,
those are
this is a
outliers.
this is a massively varied group.
Sure, but let's take for example, like let's take the most the most quote unquote xenophobic chapter, the Black Templars. The Black Templars just recruit from wherever the fuck.
Yeah, they just grab kids wherever they go.
If you're not horribly mutated, you're like if you're a stable strain of humanity, that's it. You can try to enroll into the Black Templars while their crusade is within vicinity of your world.
I mean, do you even apply, or is it more like they just grab a bunch of kids and
No,
throw
no,
them in a fighting pit?
no, they don't do that. They still have aspirants that come and seek to be part of the crusade.
Ah, cool. Oh,
They do
is
ha
it blackface? Bigger Branch asks.
No, I don't think it's
Yes,
blackface.
sort
Well,
of.
no, it's not, because the coloration of their skin is not external, it is a product of their gene seed.
Yeah, what I mean is here that if you take a white guy, you turn him into a salamander. As soon as he's exposed to Nocturne's sun, he's gonna go coal black.
Okay, but that's still like an endogenous reaction.
Even so, I'm salty enough. I'm salty enough about the law change to say yes.
Listen, you can't call melanin blackface, okay? The implications are too grave. This is
I'm salty
where
about the law change.
listen, this is getting into Yakub tier lore at this point.
I mean, the Space Marines are kind of Yakub tier.
Well, they're kind of close, yeah. It is Yakub with better lore to a certain extent. But yeah, so I just reject the presupposition that the Astartes are xenophobic. No, they are actually a unifying force of humanity. Get bent.
I mean, it really massively depends on how we are defining xenophobic.
We're
But I
no,
would
no,
say
we're
that
defining
he's
xenophobic
using
in
it.
he's just using
Certainly
it.
not.
He's using it wrong. We're defining xenophobia in the intended use of the word, not everything I don't like. Because what is the alternative to xenophobia? Just join the greater good or submit to the fucking NIDS to become the biomass and food?
Embrace the four-armed emperor.
Yeah, basically. Well, like legitimately, what is the alternative? Okay, so let's for a moment let's wear the retard cap of saying that xenophobic actually applies to species outside of your own. Which one are we supposed to become culturally enriched with first?
I mean, let's break it down into the realistic options, shall we?
Well, the only ones that won't destroy the entirety of humanity right on the spot are the Tau. And submitting to
Yeah,
the Tau
basically
is an insult in and of itself.
the Tau and maybe some of the Eldar.
Maybe the Eldar, but also very unlikely. Maybe as a serf class.
I mean, the Drukhari obviously would just kind of like fuck everything up because that's what they do.
Well, yeah, the Drukhari would just make everyone into fucking leather furniture.
Yeah, it's like their species murder fucks a chaos god into existence, and their response was to double down.
Yes, basically. That worked.
The
That worked.
Asurani,
That worked swell.
the Craft World Eldar, only realized the fuck up why this was stupid after the fact.
Yeah, but at least they course corrected.
And meanwhile, the Exodites saw it coming a mile away and just fucked off.
Yeah. So Eldar, kind of a maybe for coexistence, and I don't think Craft World Eldar impose themselves on Imperial interests too much anyway.
The Craft World Eldar are prone to doing very stupid shit because they think it'll give them an edge in the long term.
Also very true. Yeah. So
they can't really do coexistence. They will inevitably do the stupid.
Yeah, also very likely. And again, once they gain enough power, they would probably try to go for a power play.
And the Exodites are just irrelevant.
Yeah, because there's too few of them to even be of relevance. But coming
And
back
they
to
don't
the
do space travel.
yeah, coming back to the Tau, I think the Tau are also a bad option because don't they sterilize outside like client species that join uh
Um, that's lore from one of the Dawn of War games.
okay.
It's unclear. It's like never been specified outside of that, and it's not entirely clear if that was just a general thing they did to humans or if that's a thing they did in that particular instance.
Okay, interesting. We're gonna put a pin in that, but also it
So
is
there are human populations in Tau space and have been for some time, so it's entirely possible that there are self-sustaining, reproducing human populations within the Tau Empire.
okay. Sure, but that does
Bearing in mind that may change depending on how things develop,
it
because
probably depends on the whims of a specific ethereal, and again, so you're also only able to join the Tau as a serf class, so specifically as part of the Earth caste, because everyone who's not like a core species-based Tau is automatically attributed to the Earth caste.
yeah, that's because that's just how they organize their society.
Yeah, yeah. So arguably, even less vertical dynamism and social dynamism than the Imperium.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I imagine there is like movement between castes in an administrative sense for
I
client
don't
species,
I don't think there is.
but not a huge amount.
No, Fire caste is the warrior caste in Tau society.
Yeah, and there's a lot of non-Tau in their armies.
I don't
I would
think
imagine
are
that in
they
terms of administrative, those particular individuals,
what are those? The Vespers, I think, and the Kroots?
Vespid,
Vespid
Kroot,
Kroots, yeah. But are they
there have
considered
been rules for human auxiliaries.
but are they formally considered Fire caste, or are Fire caste like a standalone sort of a Praetorian Guard, basically?
I would imagine because the Firecast is responsible for all military matters, that
Ah,
if you are joining the Tau military, you fall under their authority and command structures.
okay, fair enough.
And I would imagine that any non-Tau who move into a profession that is governed by a particular caste would probably be integrated into that caste's like command.
Okay, fair enough. I still despise the concept of being subservient to the fucking blueskins.
Oh, definitely, because they have no idea the mess they're in.
Yeah, basically. They
It's like
also
there's the
yeah.
story of a exploration fleet who accidentally got sucked into some kind of like warp portal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, because they
And
don't by
the
default they don't
humans,
use warp travel by default.
they sort of do. They skip on the edge of the warp.
Ah,
That's why it takes them so long to get anywhere.
no, Atropa. The Eldar are not the best. The Grey Knights are the best.
The Eldar are dumb.
Oh
The
no,
only
Kamala.
Eldar worthy of any respect are the Exodites.
Yeah, that's true. The Eldar who have destroyed their own civilization in their own decadence. No, I'm sorry, but I will not respect a race that willed the god of bad dragon dildos into existence.
It's like, how the fuck do you party that hard?
Well, I mean, it took them a while, but they managed.
They managed. I
Jealous?
think it's also worth pointing out the Eldar are basically bioweapons that have gone rogue.
Well, same as the orcs and the Nids, but yeah.
Well, the Nids we don't know the ultimate origin of. But yeah, they were made by the same people as the orcs.
Yeah.
The Eldar were.
Yeah, by the old ones.
Yeah.
No, Atropa, I'm not
To fight the
jealous of the
Necrons.
pointy ears. I have my ears that are plenty pointy, but I am also not a disgusting deviant.
Disgusting deviant. That's the beginning.
That's putting it
You know, that's-
lightly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
New
dear.
Mexico has unfortunately turned blue. Ohio, however, has turned red. Imagine not being a disgusting deviant. Decadence shall stop. I do not care if your soul gets sucked into your hair. Sacrifice yourself. Is that the other one? Yeah, I guess Crespian is quoting from the canon there.
Yeah, so the Craft World Eldar save their souls from Slanesh with these fancy little crystals.
Yeah, that I recall.
And then they stick them in these things called infinity circuits.
Yeah. It's
Basically, dead people internet.
it's basically a Final Fantasy 14 server.
And they're trying to stuff enough Eldar souls into these infinity circuits to create the Eldar God of the Dead.
Yeah, so I hear. I believe they almost got
it
to
worked.
it. Did it work? I believe.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay then. Well, I'm not keeping up to date with the more modern lore because I'm still annoyed about the Primaris.
The Yanari are an Eldar faction who were instrumental in bringing back Girly Man, and
I
now
know
they've
about
just sort of been forgotten.
I know about Girly Man. Yes. Imagine relying on the Xenos to activate the healing archaeotech in your own fucking power suit.
Man, yeah, I'm not gonna blame him for this one.
Fair enough. Okay. But yeah,
Paul
you
had a
can
lot on his plate.
you can. I don't want to go through the entire thing because it's just wrong. But yeah, like we can tell all of the opinions of the
Yeah, we
author.
can tell where he's going with all this.
Yeah, we can very reliably predict all of his opinions about everything in life just from the content of that article and the criticisms that he has.
I want to see if he does anything really silly. I want to see if there's anything really silly.
Just a second, let me pull it back up. I don't believe he ever does. Like he vacillates along with mostly useless points that go nowhere, and
There's got to be something really funny in here, though. I want you to like the Space Marine, Sunday control, blah blah blah. The trio form a window, blah blah blah. Push back on some of the do's and don'ts they received from workshop. Oh, that's interesting.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, Amazon got whatever they wanted, and that series didn't even happen.
Well, yeah, I think that's the reason why the series didn't happen is because Amazon kind of overplayed their hand.
They still got their female custodies.
They did get a female Custodes, and because they kept pushing it, that's why the series didn't happen any further.
It's I love that the fans gave Games Workshop the perfect out on that one, and they haven't taken it.
That it's Slanesh propaganda?
Nah, Zinch.
Zinch propaganda, excuse me.
Zinch is like has played some grand trick on everyone. It's like,
well, I mean, maybe once a certain class of common suspects vacates, Games Workshop will get an improvement. I fucking hate Zinch. Listen, I like my Thousand Suns, okay? They look cool. And the Rubric Marines...
Zinch, I like him. He has a certain appeal to me purely because of the Warhammer Fantasy MMO.
I just like the Thousand Suns, that's it. Warp nonsense.
Wait, less like the Spanish Inquisition?
Where are you reading at?
Some of the do's and don'ts they received.
Oh, yeah.
A funny thing about the Spanish Inquisition. People like to go, oh, the Spanish Inquisition were like constantly torturing people and burning witches. The Spanish Inquisition's formal position on the matter of witches. They don't exist. Stop talking about them, you idiots.
Yeah, interesting. Is there any formal record of the activity of the Spanish Inquisition, or was it just
yes, actually, they were very, very thorough in their cases.
Okay.
Every time they went after someone, it was a formal court case. These cases could take years to resolve.
Huh. Well, again, not something that you want to deal with, understandably, but it's reasonable to expect that your typical soy-fed individual will not have access to the detail of that particular story.
But it's kind of funny. They were mainly a political tool. Their goal was more to reinforce Spain's social structure it as a Catholic state.
There you go. I don't really question this desire to make you like and get the fanatical killing machine at the time. I am sorry, but that is the point of the fucking game. That is the core of the enjoyment. I wish to slaughter the Xenos. What part, I show no mercy, I give no ground, did you not understand?
I think even when you're writing Space Marines at their more inhuman, you can still make them fairly likable.
Well, yeah, they're universally likable because they're what is the opposition? That is the point of the setting. Like, yes, the Space Marines chapters are not fun to be in. The Imperium is not a fun place to be in, but it is recognized as a necessary evil because every other option is just the death of humanity. A few people were
Oh no, this
executed.
confessed witch is just insane. We sentence her to a nunnery. I like that.
Yeah, probably like like the village bicycle diversion program. Horrific.
Yeah, but
Oh, there you go.
remember...
The just like
Oh.
Warhammer 40K today has an issue with certain groups of players actively identifying with them. I say that
exactly how far
as
this extent is unclear.
the game's fascist subculture, okay, is said fascism in the room with us right now. Significant enough that Games Workshop have felt moved to publish statements disavowing outright bigots. Yeah, as if the effective managers of Games Workshop were compelled to proclaim their loyalty to the current thing.
Yeah.
It's not a power fantasy, it's a purpose fantasy. Exactly, Notere. Listen, I wouldn't say that I do that unironically, but I quite proudly wear a purity seal on my plate carrier. The one I have a Grey Knight purity seal on my plate carrier and a Mechanicus one on my rifle, as to ensure the smooth and uninterrupted running of my gas short-stroke piston.
My computer has a Mechanicus purity seal on it.
There you go. There you go. I have a Mechanicus incense burner just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And ever since I've hung it up, my bitrate has not fallen below 6,000 kilobits per second. So, checkmate, heretic.
Oh, that reminds me. Bill Gates was calling for like a modern day religion for navigating the era of AI.
Don't we already have that?
And I was thinking to myself, he would be very unhappy if we all started unironically praising the Omnissiah.
No, I don't think he's attentive enough to understand that it's just an elaborate shitpost. Like, he would not understand the extent to which it is a monkey's paw wish. By the time it becomes widespread, and sort of the messages of praising the Omnissiah are supplanted by purging the techno heretics, it would be too late for them to go back.
Purge the heretic.
Exactly.
Destroy the abominable intelligence.
Yes. Just a second. Reminding the tabletop community that the Imperium Man is a send-up of fascism, of empire and murderous patriarchs, not an endorsement. Again, I disagree with that. That is something that is said out of a lack of understanding of the setting. Because
yeah, the Imperium of Man is very much not fascist.
yes, because again, it is the only way to organize humanity into a form of, well, vigilance where it even has a chance to survive faced with xenospecies and the great enemy.
In terms of its actual organization, the Imperium of Man is an interstellar feudal empire.
Yeah, it's basically a federation of feudal states.
It more strictly adheres at every level to feudalism.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that also
The idea of it is that you will not encounter the majority of things outside of your immediate area. So you are, say you're the local mayor of a town.
Yeah.
You report to your planetary governor or whoever's under him. They report to the system governor. They report to the sector governor. The sector governor reports to like whoever's up above the multi-sector guys, and they report to the high lords.
Mm-hmm.
You will never encounter anyone who's a level above your immediate superior, because it's just impossible for you to do so.
Well, yeah, at that scale, it's also probably impractical. But the point I was making is, like, the purpose of that system is to be maximally efficient in the face of basically the entire species disappearing.
Yeah, but the idea, as I understand it, is that you deal with things as close to the ground as possible.
Yeah.
And if it has to be escalated up, then it's escalated up.
Crypto rally. What is happening with Cryptotropa? Let us know.
I don't know. Maybe
I would be interested to see how Bitcoin is reacting to the election sways. Actually,
that could be funny.
to USD. Ha. Okay. Crypto on the rise. Interesting. Why? Climbing at the moment. Oh yeah, 72,000 per Bitcoin. That's
wasn't Donald Trump talking about a strategic Bitcoin reserve?
Probably. He did mention crypto. Lots of stock portfolios going
recall
up.
him
Nice. You love to
saying-
see it.
I recall him saying that he wanted to have so many Bitcoins as a sort of like national reserve for the USA.
I mean, it's more stable than the dollar. Okay, I forget the clicker for Nasdaq. Just a second. Oh, S&P 500 is also going up. So yeah, a bit late after the.
I mean, either way, it will probably go up for a bit just because there'll be certainty
oh,
again.
There SPY is the Nasdaq ticker. Stupid. Okay, so yeah, markets are reacting positively to. Oh boy, Virginia also going red. North Carolina going red. Georgia going red. Texas no longer purple at 63%. Okay. You know what? I think these also indicate that that's not a full count. Or these are maybe close
And
counts.
Texas is a whole 10% ahead.
Yeah. Real Texas rolling in hard as usual.
Holy shit. Oklahoma is like 72% in.
Oklahoma, that's Ohio. Just a second, where is Oklahoma? Oh, there it is. Yeah, 72% in.
And it's 30% for Kamala Harris.
Just Oklahoma City and nothing else. I'm interested to see how Florida voted. Orlando blue, Miami blue, Palm Beach blue. No, wait, Miami red. Never mind.
Where's Miami? I don't.
South.
Oh, is this Florida?
Yeah, this is Florida. Miami.
Oh wow, yeah, Palm Beach.
Miami is red.
That's a city.
That is a major city. That is the city. Realistically, it's the only city in Florida that matters. Things keep going the way they're going. You won't have mortgage payments anymore. Well, Godspeed.
Good luck.
Tampa red. Jacksonville red.
Which is the bit with Disney World in it?
Orlando.
Yeah, and that went blue.
Yeah. Not surprising. Given
You'd
that
think the Disneyland workers would be a little more pro-Republican after all the shit.
Disneyland workers, well, I mean, the ones that currently aren't aren't found guilty for child trafficking, so you would think that they wouldn't be able to vote anymore.
True.
Didn't the guy that quote unquote debunked the Podesta papers wasn't he recently found guilty of trafficking in child abuse material like 2 days ago?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, seems to be a pattern. I can't quite put my finger on it.
How surprising. How shocking.
Every damn time.
Every damn time.
I want to see when Hawaii is probably going to roll in like late at night.
Oh yeah, Hawaii's gonna be like the last one.
Yeah, they're
Literally because of the dateline position.
they're very far in. They are very far in. Here's how Chase Oliver can still win. Oh no.
I
He's behind even the Greens. That's why I say that, listen, they should have just embraced the takeover of the
wait,
Republican Party.
476 votes.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's wait. Oh, now it's gone up to like 200,000.
Yeah, it probably didn't update yet.
Oh dear.
Ah.
I will say this: the USA needs to figure out its systems in such a way that it can have more choice in pies.
Again, we come back to a problem of financing. The financial interests don't want to be pluralistic, and realistically, most multi-party systems still sort of fold into blocks that end up
Yeah.
being just the same dual party system, but you voted for something else, and then they decided to ally up with someone you didn't vote for, effectively giving them power. I feel like what we have is
Like
still
the French.
like the French did, basically, yeah. Like, not everyone was voting for rabid communists to take power in the country, but that is what effectively happened because, I don't know, my anti-Le Pen vote. And I think, basically, yeah, because the system that we have is at least more straightforward. Like, you have a specific head of the executive branch, and you have specific senators and specific congresspeople that you're voting for.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I can't really throw too much flack. We're first past the post too.
Can't wait to see Nevada fail to count the votes for 2 cities in another week. Listen, they need to stop drinking to count the votes, okay? And that is an unreasonable expectation of anyone in Nevada. Given that,
Nevada.
yeah, they only have like the 2 cities.
Isn't like most of the state federal land?
I'm not sure if it's federal, but there's just nothing there. Most of the state is just barren desert. There's
Yeah,
the
as I
Grand
recall,
Canyon.
it's like
Oh, 86% is federal. There you go. Thank you for the
it's like all the land in the USA that nobody wants belongs to a federal agency.
Oh, because
It's
what the fuck is there to do with it? It is literally just empty desert. There's nothing there. There's the Grand Canyon. That's pretty to look at, sure, but that's about it.
as I understand, they were like, well, somebody has to be responsible for this land, so
Basically.
spin up a federal agency to do it, and that's how you got the Bureau of Land Management.
Yep, that sounds about right. New Mexico going Trump. You love to see it. Colorado. It's interesting to see that a lot of the early tallies went for Democrat, and as more votes are rolling in, they're tipping over back to Republican. Maine going Republican.
From what I've heard, there's a lot of young men going out to vote in person.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
I still can't believe you people do not have voter ID or registration.
So normal states have voter ID and registration, and it happens just by default. Like, I moved to a new place where I lived, and my voter registration just updated automatically. Just one day I got my voter registration card. It says, "You live here now. You are registered to vote. Please confirm that your information is correct." So it just in normal states operated by sane people, we have voter registration, and you need to show photo ID to vote. Like in Texas, you need to have valid state issued photo ID. It needs to be either state ID, it needs to be a driver's license, or your handgun license. Either one of those is usable to identify you as a voter in a specific county.
Yeah, here there is a variety of cards you can use, and they make it very easy for you to know if a card is viable because they have a little hologram on it saying pass or something like that. Anything with that little hologram on it is considered legit enough to count as ID.
Oh, base the trope of using a license to carry to vote. Nice. Yeah. I mean, it's a valid form
Nice.
of ID. I had this fucking spat with some mods in an art Discord, where basically they decided to janny at me saying that, well, they were verifying people's ages using their government ID. Fine, I have no issue with that, especially if it's on the spicier end of the art. So I send in my handgun license, and they're like, "This is not an ID." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? This is an ID. Like, we need a driver's license." I don't have a fucking driver's license. I have a handgun license.
It's issued by the government. It's legitimate.
Open carry into polling places too. Based. I don't think we can do that.
And some people get a driver's license from bags of Cracker Jack.
Yeah. That's not wrong. Here, fun fact, had a hard time getting a job for several years. After 2016, you got hired. Then, last couple of years, had trouble getting a job. You get hired after Trump win number 2. Okay, there's still a thought. There's a conditional there. We'll wait for Notary to make his point. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Either way,
Yeah,
I hope for good things.
kind of normally. So, Atropa, is that a state level regulation that's specific to your state, or is that just sort of the local mode of enforcement that nobody gives a fuck? It's just assumed that it's normal to open carry. The both would be kind of good because in Texas it's pretty lax. So it's just an issue of enforcement because polling places are federal. They're technically federal domain, like the post office. Oh, completely legal while bar hopping even. Okay, so you can legally. Okay, Texas is a little bit more strict on that. You can't have your gun in what's referred to as a 51% establishment. So basically a bar. Anything that derives more than 50% of its revenue from the sales of alcohol. I'm not affected. Well, no, see.
Wait.
Hmm?
Is a strip club a 51% establishment?
No, it derives most of its revenue from from renting out the strippers for extracurriculars. So not alcohol. Bigger Branch, Texas is fine. We still have a couple of kinks to iron out. You have bar hop while open carrying multiple NFA items. Okay, multiple NFA items. I'm interested in the logistics of that. Please make sure to share in more elaborate detail.
It's like that meme of the guy carrying like the hundreds of mines and heavy machine guns.
Yeah, basically. But what would be an NFA item? 2 stamp guns or two? A 2 stamp gun. So a suppressed SBR. What should the drinking age be? That's a good question. I don't have an opinion on drinking age.
I personally would say that if you've got like an age of majority, expected to vote, expected to be able to apply for military service, so on and so forth,
Probably,
that
yeah.
should probably be your age.
Yeah, that's kind of reasonable. I'd say if you're a full
It should either be that or younger.
if you're
for alcohol.
if you're a full legal citizen, you should have access to vices. Old enough to join the military, old enough to vote. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Not old enough to drink.
Yeah. That's odd. I don't recall why that measure is there, why we have it set at 21. Me never being a drinker,
Probably Puritans.
maybe. I've never partaken, so I don't have an opinion on it. It exists outside of my purview, so I generally do not care.
Yeah, same. I don't drink either, but it just seems odd to me that the USA has this division.
Again, I'm old enough to do it even if I wanted to. Drinking age in America seems not free. Again, the ability to consume alcohol doesn't seem to be a foundational component of it. Like, yes, my default attitude is that the state should fuck right off for anything they want to try to regulate. On the other hand, I think it's up to the parents to decide when their child is of a legal drinking age. At the same time, we need to take into account that in the absolute majority of cases, alcohol is just pure poison and retard juice that actually has no benefit for its consumption. Federal
Uh,
government bullied states into the drinking age of 21 through withholding highway funding. Oh, I do recall hearing something like that.
that's pretty funny.
Could I argue that drinking is an important part of growing up? No, son, I disagree. The kid who doesn't go to the drinking party because he follows the rules becomes the loser. I don't know. I don't quite feel like a loser, especially aging significantly better than the vast majority of my peers.
Yeah, I've
I,
seen that too.
yeah, I just want the NFA getting shipped away, free suppressors. Want a friend for your surefire. Yeah, I disagree. Yes, son, I am a VTuber. I'm a VTuber with a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a 405 deadlift. Would you like to elaborate further what you meant by that? You hate Bill Hughes burning. Well, yeah, Atropa. Everyone here hates the Hughes Amendment.
Speaking of
Fortunately,
suppressors, though,
yeah,
speaking of suppressors, they're legal in the UK.
they're legal here. Listen, it's a moot point for you to have suppressors that are not regulated because every other part of everything is strictly regulated. What the fuck are you suppressing with that suppressor, Digby?
I
Exactly.
mean,
A, br- a, br-
so long as it's a
a
bolt action, you can have basically
a
anything.
bolt action. Wow, fantastic. The fucking forefront of firearms technology. Oi, oi, you got a
Well, let's
license
let's
for
put
that
it this
suppressed
way.
knife, mate?
Let's put it this way. I can own a gun legally in the UK on a standard firearms license that you would have to get like a what's it called, an explosive devices license or whatever.
What? Well, they're
A
they're
point,
okay.
as I recall,
No,
in the USA,
make
you
your
have
point.
like restrictions on anything over 50 cal.
No, there are restrictions specifically on explosives.
Oh, I thought they had a different restriction for things over 50 cal.
No, like you can have a bigger bullet than 50 cal, sure. It's just that you need a dedicated license only if there is a like an explosive as opposed to a propellant.
Ah, that's probably it then. Oh well.
Atropa says that you're wrong, but you're technically right.
Wait, am I technically correct? That's the best kind of correct.
Yeah. That's probably Canada because I don't recall there being a regulation for that. Like for example, they've recently re-regulated fucking smoke grenades, civilian smoke grenades because they have an explosive component to them as the primer. But that doesn't have anything to do with like calibers and whatnot. It's because it is
Um,
a deployable explosive like on paper.
it's strictly speaking, a car airbag is a deployable explosive.
Well, I'm not sure it operates on a combustible explosive. It doesn't have a combustible propellant. A
Hmm.
.55 boys rifle would be a destructive device under the NFA. Okay, but why is it classified as such under the NFA? Airbags do break necks. I'm just questioning the mechanism by which they were deployed.
Boys anti-tank rifle.
Probably has to do with the. There are a lot of things that are classified. Anything over 50 cal is a destructible device. Well, holy shit! I guess so it is.
I was right.
God damn. Shotguns are a weird sporting exemption by default. See, I think it's a stupid rule that's inconsistent. So that's why it doesn't really make sense to have it. Therefore, the entirety of the NFA should be repealed because it does nothing but create unnecessary boundaries for law-abiding citizens.
Except when the ATF decides otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about right for
yeah.
federal agencies.
Well, the NFA is a nonsensical document that is basically an artifact of legislation that never made it to a vote. The point of the NFA, yeah, they'll kill your dog or your fucking squirrel, um, if you don't have a dog to kill. But
Rip peanut.
the point of the NFA was to regulate handguns because they were the weapon of choice of criminality. But then oh god, I believe the NRA managed to pull their head out of their ass and actually lobby for handguns to be excluded, and the short barrel rifle rulings basically were placed there to prevent people circumventing the regulation on handguns that never made it into the final document in the first place. The NFA never got properly challenged in court. They treated as simply because it's old and it's stupid. Well, it's not old enough to hold up in the Bruin process. So
How old is
yeah,
it?
they, the NFA isn't that old. It's like the GCA is what, the 30s?
What, the
National
1930s?
Firearms. Yes. We don't have a history of legislation that is prescribed in the National Firearms Act is an aberration given against the rest of the history of regulating. GCA is the 60s, okay.
I
National
mean,
Firearms
neither of
Act,
those is very old. By
1939. Yeah, it's not old enough to be considered historical legislation. That's the point.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there, but we got laws on the books written down in the Magna Carta.
Sure, like we have laws that go back to 1776, and that is the current established standard. The Hughes Amendment was never actually voted on. They'll kill your dog. Yeah, basically. There's currently a oh god, I hate to fucking bring up an armed scholar video, but I guess I'll have to.
Men are apparently voting in record numbers.
I don't have links enabled, son. I gave you VIP, but I think it'll still slap you because the bot is stupid. Yeah, just DM it to me.
Emergency election civil unrest order just issued. Oh dear.
Where?
Like literally I'm looking at the stream right now. You've got it on the page.
Oh, I do?
Video.
Oh no, listen,
Armed Scholar?
don't read the fucking titles. The man he clickbaits like a son of a bitch. So
Oh yeah.
you need to divide whatever he says by like 10. That's why me and Badger fucking hate whatever he does, but unfortunately, he also sometimes has good updates. I think this is the one.
I've noticed over the years that American media really does love their clickbait, their engagement bait.
He's just very bad about that. Like, I get that you have a legal review channel. You do too much gun stuff.
Looking at this guy. Oh, I do not like the look of him.
He's fine. He's a trained lawyer. He helps write amicus briefs for pro-gun causes. He's generally okay. He's on the content grind. He's just doing it in a way that is very off-putting. He does have good information every 4 to 5 videos, but he needs to put out slop to stay relevant in the algorithm.
Was then remanded back down to
And I look at this guy and something seems off.
in light of that decision.
He's fat. Just say it. He's trying to lose weight. He's trying to lose weight through exercise. He's trying. He's getting there. Okay. He was on the standard American diet. He has a good supplement sponsor. Let him cook.
We need to talk about what is now happening in this critical
This
case.
guy will stab you in the back. Yeah, I can see that.
Listen, he's a lawyer. That's sort of an understood given.
Hey, my cousin's a lawyer.
Did I stutter?
Now, really quick before we jump into this video, I want to ask you guys for a favor.
It's a kind of funny story, actually. He wanted to go into family law because he saw a lot of money in divorces.
Yeah,
He wound up being an ambulance chaser.
My opinion of him has not changed one bit. Everything
I mock him every time.
Everything you just said just falls directly into every assumption I have already made about him. What we guys think of 1980s WMDs? What would those be? Okay, let's listen to the video.
Please just like the video.
We
get
know.
out to more people.
200 straight barrels that would all fire at once.
Of this channel, which is Kershaw Knives.
Ancient
a lot
gun?
of you guys
What?
know that Kershaw has been supporting the channel for a really long time. Kershaw was one of the first
some damn
Get to the
up for
fucking point.
consideration in the Second Circuit because of the
A
Supreme Court's
homemade
recent
25 barrel volley gun
Oh, that's-
built by Giuseppe Marco Fieschi and used in his failed assassination attempt on King Louis Philippe I of France.
Ah, interesting. Biological
It's-
weapons.
It's 25 pipes on a wooden frame.
Sure. I think you can legally own one right now, so like gun good, big gun gooder, I guess. Okay, I need to actually go and get the correct video out of my DMs with Badger. Where is the video?
Biological weapons? Hell yeah, everyone loves biological
So
weapons.
a huge ruling dismissing a machine gun possession charge, and it dismissed that using the
I mean, it's a
Second Amendment,
volley
finding that
gun,
these
son. The
restrictions
damage
are
report on a volley gun is always
unconstitutional.
crazy.
That is now being appealed and is being reviewed by the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. So this is huge news
That's
that we need to
assuming
talk
the
about.
volley gun doesn't
Now, really
explode.
quick before we jump to this video, I want to thank.
So yeah, basically, a machine gun possession charge has recently been dismissed by a federal court because the NFA is not compliant with the Bruin two-step test.
Oh, dear.
The two-step test that is established in Bruin is that a gun regulation must either comply to the plain text of the Constitution. The Constitution says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Therefore, the regulation of firearms does not abide by that. And the second test is whether or not there's historic precedent of regulations of that type at the time of the ratification of the Constitution, and no such precedents existed at the time. Even though repeating firearms have already existed, they were just not regulated. There was no regulation preventing civilian ownership and use. Therefore, the NFA is facially unconstitutional. So now the feds need to keep appealing this decision, and it's very likely that gun lobbying groups like GOA will just tank the costs of litigating further and reappealing every decision they don't like, or if higher courts keep dismissing the charge, it means it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And the feds have to keep appealing it, because if they don't appeal it, that also sets precedent that someone had a machine gun and the charge was dismissed as unconstitutional. Like, either way, the NFA is cooked.
Who knows? Maybe Trump will strike it down.
Well, see, I don't want Trump to strike it down, because Trump could only do so through executive action. Any kind of executive action can be reversed by the following administration. I want it to be the law of the land. I want the Supreme Court, the head of our judicial branch, to say that no, this law is unconstitutional. It no longer has standing. Like, it is no longer the law of the land.
Can the president instruct them to hurry the fuck up and get this dealt with?
He can insist, he can direct them to review a specific case once it has worked its way up through lower courts. Yes, he can do that, and he can appoint more favorable court justices. I think Alito.
Oh God, could you imagine?
The Democrat appointees are still not up for retirement anytime soon, so the diversity hire Ketanji Token Jackson, or whatever the fuck her name is, she's a Biden appointee. She's not going anywhere for another 30 years.
Could you imagine a couple more of them die or retire? And
he's probably going to. There are 2 up for retirement, if I recall correctly. So if Trump gets appointees to replace them, we're just maintaining the current status quo with the conservative majority.
And I think it would be absolutely hilarious if some of the Democrat-aligned ones wound up out and Trump got to appoint them.
I would prefer that it be that, because there are still some fence sitters, even who are technically Republican appointees. Like, I'm not happy with all of the decisions that they make. I was happy with the Bruin decision. In the era of the Constitution, there was precedent of people privately owning warships, which are full-on tools of statecraft. Yes, basically. The standard for how the American nation was formed is through private ownership of arms, and the Revolutionary War was actually sparked in a large way by a disarmament attempt by an oppressive government. So the ethos of the country is to resist disarmament through violent means. The tree of liberty must be regularly refreshed with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
I mean, all we did was ask you to stop killing the natives.
No, you asked to tax us while not giving us a seat in parliament. And then you asked us to surrender our guns. That was the real mistake. See, these
I
are
don't get that one.
these
I don't
are
get that. I
these
don't
are
understand that why they did
there.
that one.
See, like we've established two very important things that you cannot do towards the American people. You don't touch our guns and you don't touch our boats. Either way will always end poorly. Churl GM, hello, welcome to the chat. We're talking about statecraft here, and also giggling at the election results.
Yeah, they are actually kind of surprising so far. We'll see how they change, but it's surprising so far. I wasn't expecting this.
Lexington and Concord was shooting at Brits going after an American armory. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening fairly easily. Let me quickly check what I have in my following tab on Twitter, just in case there are any interesting factoids or news.
One thing that I really don't get about the whole trying to disarm the American people thing, a lot of the USA is still wilderness. Like,
Yeah,
wild, dangerous wilderness.
yes.
You don't want to be unarmed in that area.
Well, for one, it's debatable where you are going to need your gun with more probability in a heavy urban environment or in a wilderness, because the wolves
Well,
generally,
yeah, but most people aren't going to assume in the urban area you need a gun unless they're
I disagree.
aware of
I disagree
the
with
usual
that.
shit.
I disagree with that. I think in an urban environment, yeah, there you go. That's the tropa is armed right now. You need a gun in an urban environment, exactly. Oh god, I was actually so caught up in conversation with you that I forgot to keep loading my magazines. I have a gun in front of me right now. I have my Glock 43X on a desk.
The point I'm making is here that in relation to like human on human violence, you've got like police, you've got that sort of thing. There's an expectation there. But for people living in more wilderness adjacent areas, what's the government going to do here? Is the government saying it's willing to take on responsibility for their safety?
No, the government is saying tough shit. Like you want to bear
Exactly.
They're basically saying, "Oh, you want to bear arms? Have the entire fucking bear." Because by the way, they're also releasing bears into the wild in California in some areas. They're repopulating bear populations.
Yeah, we're bringing back wolves, boar.
Yeah.
We killed all fun animals, so we're reintroducing them so we can kill them again.
We have way too many fucking boars in Texas. I'm not sure if we've managed to at least whittle down their population, but they're still
Have
free
you tried
game.
hunting them?
Farmers will pay people to hunt them. There are videos of people setting up Gatling guns because they have full auto permits and hunting boars with miniguns. There are just too many of them.
That sounds amazing. How much are they charging per head?
The farmers or the hunters?
Well, how much are the farmers paying?
That depends on how badly their land is stricken. I haven't looked into it too far. Although there is a limit to it that you need night vision to hunt them well. People with machine gun bores from helicopters in Texas. Yeah, that is just a regular occurrence here. Let me catch up with chat. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. Yeah, it's just a common truism. Response times for police are actually in the minutes, even in some bad areas. Like it's not an hour. If you make a 911 call, like you will get a police car within 30 minutes. That is still technically minutes. That is entirely way too long for them to do anything other than tag the bodies.
To be fair, that's pretty impressive. Compared to the British police, you say minutes. In our case, it's hours.
Yeah.
If they come at all.
No, there is a sense of urgency. They try to be more responsive because police is usually very local. But police is never on time to prevent a crime. Usually they're there just to document it and basically, account for who won and who was in the right.
I remember a while back, when I was working at McDonald's overnight, we had two kids just start beating the shit out of each other over a girl. Like, really going at each other.
What was the demographic of the kids, may I ask?
One was foreign.
Go
Anyways,
figure.
Knives came into it at one point.
I wonder who pulled the first one.
Anyways, it ends with both of them on the floor, bleeding everywhere.
That's typically how it is with knives.
Paramedics show up. They drag him off. The police show up 6 hours later.
Well, because what the fuck are they gonna do? Like, what is the point of even having them there? I'm actually gonna find
Yeah,
that
and
video.
I remember the manager on shift at the time was like, "Oh, have you already been down to see to question them at the hospital?" I was like, "What? Oh, they went to hospital." It's like, oh fuck's sake.
They were not supposed to survive. Well, that's unexpected.
They just had no fucking clue what was going on.
Yeah. That is, I'm trying to.
Police is busy with Twitter crimes. Yes.
So yeah, my original point being, I think that I actually pondered this recently because it's a very common misleading question of why do you need a gun? The base assumption being that I don't. And the like
Oh yeah. In
there's
the USA, I would say you definitely need one.
I'd say you need a gun anywhere because it is a panacea for people trying to visit violence upon you. Like, I don't want, if I am anywhere outside of the US, if I am in an area where, I don't know, knives are the prevalent weapon of choice of assailants, I would still prefer to have a gun because I don't want to gamble with my life. I don't plan to commit assault, but I would like to have the most effective means to prevent it.
Plus, a gun has a higher intimidation factor.
I don't like using the gun as an intimidation factor. First of all, because brandishing is a crime. Second of all, if you're pulling a gun and the situation is not immediately de-escalated by the gun just coming out as you're intending to use it, you will create an opening for you to lose the gun. So you need, like, when you're presenting a firearm, you need to do so with the intent to use it. Otherwise, that will introduce an additional reactionary gap for you, and that reactionary gap is usually used against you.
Makes sense.
So,
But as you said,
yeah.
if the situation isn't
Yeah,
resolved by
listen,
pulling it out,
if the guy decides that the juice is no longer worth the squeeze as I am drawing on him, I'm not going to pursue him. I'm not gonna gun him down as he's attempting to remove himself from the situation. I don't need the smoke. I don't need the disruption to my regular schedule. And also, have you seen the prices of self-defense ammo? However, if he decides that he wants to take his chances, who am I to refuse?
yeah.
I say as I load up a 20-round magazine of jacketed hollow points. And I am
Let's
about
just hope he drops good loot.
Yeah, they rarely do. By the way, that's a thing that I wanted to share while we're on the subject. I know Jamez has already left, and I forgot to share this news with him. So, as we all know, the Glock 43X is a nice little compact handgun. However, it is plagued by being inherently California compliant, and I will not be caught dead carrying a California compliant firearm. That is why
How sad.
I use shield mags because they are 15 round magazines as opposed to the stock 10. And for my reload, I have one with an extension that adds 5 more rounds to that, making it a 20. So now, these absolute mad lads have released a 10 round magazine extension for the Glock 43X. Actually, making the grip longer than the slide of the gun.
Wouldn't it just be easier to buy an aftermarket magazine?
It is an aftermarket magazine.
What I mean is, wouldn't it be easier just to buy one that's made from the get-go to be like this rather than buying an extension?
What's the difference? Like, there's only so much handle on it. Let me try to see.
Okay.
Because the Glock 43X is just not a big firearm. Like, it's a subcompact pistol inherently. There it is. I carry a magazine when you carry a drum, because a drum is a little bit difficult to conceal under my Hawaiian shirt, son. So the grip of the 43X is relatively short. It's like barely enough for an adult-sized hand to grip. And it's also very slim.
Son, why carry a drum? where you can have it belt fed with a backpack.
The same concern, honestly. Your farm gun is a P90 based, especially since 5.7 rounds penetrate soft body armor, and the most likely three-letter agency to visit a farm is realistically the IRS, who only carry soft body armor. So you do with that information what you will.
Nice.
It's a
The
perfect gun
USA has a
for
lot of federal agencies,
for
doesn't it?
coyotes, really. I mean, if you say so. Is it an NFA P90 or is it the ugly long barrel P90?
Just police carried belt-fed handguns.
The problem with the belt-fed handgun is that it's the cycling mechanism of the handgun just is not built to accommodate it. Oh, it's suppressed
It
and
could
an
possibly be
SBR.
done, but it'd be
Lovely.
very silly.
You'd need to murder the entire fucking gun. What's the point at that point? There's just no point.
I imagine at this point you're making a purpose-designed firearm.
Can't swing a Glock 19 without getting slide bite. It's just not good for your enormous paws. So the beaver tail on the 43X is actually very good. Like it keeps your I have fairly large hands myself. I'm barely able to you actually see me shoot the 43X in the video that's playing in the corner there. But like I can just barely have a good grip on it and I still need to modify it to not fat finger the slide. But the beaver tail is so aggressive that it never lets me choke up high enough to get slide bite, even though I get slide bite on 17s and 19s. So 43X is just a well-designed fucking gun. Like Glock really cooked with this one. But the point is, it's a small gun. The grip is small, so like there's only so much real estate to work with in the grip itself. So if the 15 round magazine is realistically the most you can get in, like most you can squeeze into that grip, and that's done by replacing the thicker walled plastic with steel.
Oh yeah, I forgot Glock liked to make them out of plastic.
I mean, it's fine. It works for other larger guns, but because you're working with what is basically a single stack gun. And again, I don't want to carry with 10 rounds if I can carry with 15. I'm definitely not going to carry with a 15 round reload if I can carry with a 30 round reload. Rather, no, 25, excuse me. So yeah, but I am getting the bigger extension just because funny. Mm-hmm. Why are you discussing the VP70?
What is a VP70?
The name sounds familiar. Oh, it's an HK. Okay. I think Atropa and Sun are discussing something.
Vaporeon 70.
God, I fucking hope not. What do you think about revolver issue amongst police? What is the issue? Should they bring them back or right to call them more modern guns?
Volk's pistol. Literally people's pistol.
So the problem with revolvers, Son, is that their capacity is horrific. Like they cannot hold more than the very limited amount of rounds that you can squeeze into a cylinder, and the mechanism of a revolver is not as bulletproof, haha, as we're led to believe, especially on mass produced revolvers, and they're also impractically heavy. So there's a reason why every effective police force in the world has effectively switched over to Glock handguns. Glock is a very good. It is the iPhone of handguns. It disgusts me to say that, but it is effectively that. Chicago infamously kept for a long time officers armed with 357 Magnum revolvers. Wait, what? 357 revolvers loaded with 38 special rounds. Why? Revolvers are sometimes more reliable, Churl. It is mostly FUD lore. Like there is not a revolver that is more reliable than a Glock 17. Effectively the power of a 9mm. You could just use a 9mm.
I'll just give him a anti-tank rifle. Let it sort itself out.
No, listen, son. Your questions are at least even the whimsical ones are interesting to engage with. Don't talk yourself down. What is the condition of the North Korean military based on what we glean from the photo? We're gonna get to that one. I just so happen to have a very funny link about the subject. Oh boy, do I have an article about that.
I mean,
North
to
Korean
be
troops gunned down their own Russian comrades after shooting in the wrong direction in latest frontline humiliation. Nuff said. That is completely true. Listen, so for one, I'm gonna break this down in a moment. Let me quickly check chat just to make sure. FUD lore, the 357 loaded with 38 special was more accurate and reliable. No round with less propellant with a lighter projectile is more accurate. That does not make sense from a physics perspective. The faster you send a round and the heavier it is, the better it and more consistently it flies. That's why sniper rifles typically bias towards 30-06 because it's a big chunky round that flies very far in MOA sized groups. If you don't clean the mouth of the barrel of the revolver, it's going to fucking explode. Yeah, there you go. Don't let lead build up in most modern automatics. Yeah, you barely get any buildup in modern automatics.
French. You say that, but they were good enough to face off against the Russians.
Oh, sorry about that, Terry. The bot gets a little bit trigger happy about the Kersha, not specifically the Kersha emotes. It's just a lot of Korsha all in once. Please ration your Korsha out very carefully. If an officer really needed it, they could go for their shotguns. That's not how use of force continuums work, Crane. You will use the gun that you have out, or you will use no gun at all.
Oh dear.
Just to make sure I'm not missing anything. You're attempting to adopt a new habit for whatever you read a new article, you say to yourself, is this true? That's a good habit. I think that North Koreans would be good at war. Why, Bigger Branch? Here's the thing. There is no reason for them to be good because their army has not actually been in any real combat. Like all they do is
Kuro, come on.
wait, hold on. All they do is eat nothing, oppress the civilians, and lie.
Okay, but you gotta give them credit here. They were good enough to take on the Russians.
Sure, when the Russians are on your team.
If they don't shoot back, that's a skill issue.
Fair enough. I need to find the photo. So this does not surprise me at all. Let me try to find North Korean Special Forces.
Son, North Korea has done nuclear tests. Those have been confirmed externally. So they are capable of building nuclear weapons.
Whether or not they have to use a trebuchet to actually launch that is a separate question.
Yeah, they can definitely get one to South Korea, but why would you want to?
To nuke your immediate neighbor with whom you share a landmass. Yeah, not really great. Okay, I just want to find a photo that sort of closed the book.
You think other countries have motivation for bias? Well, these have been confirmed by a lot of different countries. Countries who aren't necessarily aligned with the USA or with South Korea.
Okay, here's the photo. So this is a photo that was posted when they were first announcing the transfer of North Korean quote unquote special ops.
Those are AK cyclical mags, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Oh, I am familiar with these things.
So, first of all, I don't think these helmets are even rated at level 2. I do not believe that they can stop anything larger than a 9mm. That is my first point of contention. That night vision is definitely not on par with anything, with even the hand-me-downs that the Ukrainians got.
Yeah, those look like digital night vision.
No, I don't know. Probably analog.
Digital night vision is vastly inferior to analog. That's why the USA doesn't use digital.
Interesting, probably. Just a second. Let me check. Suspicion is that North Korea is a paper tiger. Yes, that is true. They are. Listen, there is no way that a country that relies on external shipments of grain for their primary food source is not a paper tiger. Their average height is 5'0", and those are the tallest people that they can find to put on the border of the DMZ because they
To
think
be
that being
fair to
that tall
them,
is a flex. Compare that to the absolute units of South Koreans, and that listen, the physiognomy does not lie. We've established that today.
to the North Koreans though, South Korea has all the farmland. North Korea is mountains.
Great. You shouldn't have joined the communists. What can I say? Or at least mine the fucking mountains and trade them for food.
That's what they're trying to do.
Well, I'll try harder, I guess.
The problem is the only one they can trade with is China.
Yeah, sounds like a skill issue to me. Okay.
I mean, they try to do international trade, but they have a problem with the USA literally seizing any ships
Just a second. Let me
that go near them.
give certain YouTube commentator credit for one assessment. Russia isn't equal of the US or even China. They're the equal of North Koreans. No, I think Russians aren't the equal of North Koreans. That's going a bit too far, but they are barely the equals of a Ukrainian army that's being heavily subsidized by the US. Let's point it that way. They subsist predominantly on a poorly trained force because they've already run out of better trained personnel, because their early war doctrines were not great and they were very slow about adapting them. Credit where credit is due, they did adapt their doctrines and they did cut their casualties by a lot. I would hate to be a North Korean diplomat. No, being a North Korean diplomat actually means that you are of an extremely high caste and you live in extreme luxury. And probably you're allowed Western comforts. You're allowed things like cell phones and designer clothes. The only
Plus, you have the opportunity to escape.
No. Well, if you escape, then your remaining family, who is not going to be allowed to leave the country simultaneously with you, will be subjected to generations in work camps. That's how they ensure loyalty. But as a diplomat, you really have no reason to escape. You're living a very cushy life. It's basically the equivalent of being a high-ranking noble in a hive world, or they're in a hive
Makes
city.
sense.
Yeah, it's that. Like their caste system is such that you are very comfortable if you are allowed, if you have the generational clout to be a diplomat.
What do you think the chances of North Korea improving when their current leader dies?
That depends on how succession is going to look like.
Yeah, there's a son in the picture. He has a son.
Isn't their economy based on drugs and weapons? Whose? North Korea? North Korea doesn't have a fucking economy. It's based on handouts from other governments, including the US. They are entirely a humanitarian assistance based economy, excuse me.
Yeah, they do have mining, they do have industry, but their economy's a mess.
Well, who would have fucking thought that communists aren't great with math or the economy? Harris
One
is
of their
down
main
to
problems
15
is
cents on Robinhood. Oh, you love to see it.
they can't participate in the international economy.
Yeah, because they just have
The
one.
sanctions are that thick, and the USA naval blockade is so effective, they basically have no way to engage with everyone.
Yeah, basically. Put the entire North Korean army against the civilian population of Texas. Money is on Texas. That's not inaccurate. That is probably how it's going to play out. For one, our firearms training is probably better. Like, I'm pretty sure that my wife has more shots on average in a month than your median special forces North Korean. But let's examine
I would
the
ask, what's the battlefield?
let's assume Texas just to make it funny.
Oh, if it's in Texas, then yeah, it's a Texas sweep.
Yeah. Okay. So we are disproportionately stacked towards a guerrilla warfare scenario here. But yeah, so what I see is that not only are these bootleg AKs, these are bootleg AKs with cylindrical magazines, so infamously failure prone because the tensions are very difficult to manage inside of the cylinder for it to not jam, not have random rounds inside of the cylinder rotate. I believe that they seem to be billeted or stamped or otherwise permanently affixed to the magwell of the gun. So
No.
it looks like it. There seem to be they seem to be affixed. Yeah, even Californians would measure up to North Koreans. Like you get the you set the Appalachian boys on them, the dog eaters don't have a chance.
Let's be frank here. The Crips or the Bloods could take them on.
There you go. The Crip army. Well, for one, the Crips and Bloods have access to full auto firearms, so
Oh.
no. Here's the thing. No, Terry. These are real guns. I fully believe these are real guns, short of the fact that they are failure prone and you have no way of clearing a malfunction. What is the pistol they're carrying? Probably some kind of homebrew. It looks like a knockoff CZ, just based on the grip
To
angle.
be fair to the Koreans, they have made a name for themselves in the international arms trade for providing cheap, low-tech, and surprisingly reliable small arms.
Nork Bisons? Oh, okay. No, I'm not saying that those are not real guns. But yeah, I insist that these are real guns. I insist on that because I think that these are not meant to be reloaded, even despite this being quote unquote special forces, like elite squadrons. They are still expendable because there is no way that they have a more sophisticated fighting doctrine than basically just burying your opposition in bodies. The other consideration is likely to prevent them from trying to sell ammo in exchange for food. Let's be real here.
Yeah, that's probably pretty likely.
I mean, it is established precedent that that is what happened during the, for example, Chechen campaigns when Chechnya attempted to secede from Russia, where conscripts would sell ammo for provisions. They would boil it first to make sure to blow out the primers. Well, at least the smart ones did. Just to prevent this very same ammo to be used on them about an hour later. But
Oh,
the design suggests that these are like basically single use AKs that, and again, if a malfunction occurs, which it is very likely to occur, just courtesy of the cylindrical fucking magazine, there is no way to clear the malfunction other than continuously cycling the slide until something happens. And if you get something like a double feed, for example, that's it. Like, you have a bludgeon, you no longer have a gun.
I mean, the wood on them looks fairly worn. The rifles look fairly worn in general.
Sure, because they probably march and practice with them a lot. But I don't assume I can't imagine they shoot them too much.
I would love to see one of these wind up in the Western world just so we can get a decent look at them.
I mean, they're gonna wind up in Ukraine eventually. Because they've already
Good
started
point.
they've already started defecting. It also looks like they're not wearing plates because usually your plate in a plate carrier should start like around yay high because that is where your vitals start. Like
And there's no signs of like an obvious bulge.
there is nothing there. Yeah, they have their admin pouch with like I don't know fucking cyanide pills. But other than that, there's no indication of there being any kind of hard armor.
That one with the open mouth, he's got a dodgy looking tooth.
Oh no! Listen, it's the best that South Korean dentistry can afford.
I mean, his teeth overall look in good shape, but that one tooth just
That
looks
one,
off.
that one stands out. It's almost as if it's ready to fall out on demand. Ah, God, fucking North Korea is a meme.
Yeah, North Korea is pretty fucking wild.
But yeah, just in case anyone was wondering, no, they're not doing great. Another happier note, you caught some helmet footage of a National Guard mortar team in Somalia from 2019. I mean, yeah, National Guard trains. The US military benefits from first of all having willing willing people enrolling. I was about to call them aspirants. I know that's not what it's called. The willing recruits, and usually willing recruits that come from a background of having baseline literacy in dealing with firearms and some kind of baseline firearm proficiency just as part of the culture.
And basically understanding which is the bit you point at the guy you want to die and which bit you pull on.
As you understand, the non-native Russian fighters are being signed as mercenaries and managed under Russian PMCs, thus being used. Wait, what? Not sure what. Crane, try to reword that sentence, please. Harris claims.
I think what he's saying is that the non-Russian fighters are being managed by Russian private military companies, and the gear they're using is being provided by the Russians.
That's barely better. It's better than what we've seen on that photo. You have to watch the Arizona flip 5 times now. Oh, they're being issued Russian equipment. Okay. You have footage from a friend.
Harris claiming we don't have anyone in war zones.
Yeah. I was about to pull up that video because I was in oh God, I'm trying to not name like specific things, but basically I was in an environment with a lot of veterans, especially recent ones, and they're still like in communication with active deployed military. So like a lot of people had questions about that one.
It reminds me of something from the Cameron administration here. He went on TV during the whole Libya shit and he was like, we do not have troops on the ground in Libya. And then literally the next day, front page of the Sun, a bunch of British troops in Libya leading a rebel militia.
Well, listen, they're on vacation.
Yes, they're on vacation.
Come on, man, I just want the raw clip.
There is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. As a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. What? But let's understand.
So where the fuck are we right now?
Enough said. Potential commander-in-chief, everybody. Okay, let's check the map. Let's reload.
Oh,
okay, let's see. I do not like this margin for Texas. I fucking hate this margin for Texas. I'll remind everyone present that Texas almost went to Beto O'Rourke during the governor election. Like,
there's some bits down in the bottom that are going Democrat.
Texas-wide, he did lose, I believe, it was 40-60. But in certain parts, I believe in certain counties, Beto actually won.
I'm surprised Colorado seems to be going blue. Looks like it has even.
Yeah, it has. 60% of the vote is in Colorado. I don't know.
I mean, that's inland, so you'd expect it to go Republican.
No, inland is not an indication of anything. Well, yeah, coasts typically lean blue, but then again, we have this. Florida, 97%. Okay, so Florida is a done deal. Colorado is ruled by Boulder and Denver. Yeah, colony of fucking California.
They'll finish in around 2 weeks, son. Depends how many more ballots they got to print.
Yeah, it's honestly it's Maricopa County that's going to be holding everyone up. So yeah, it's going to be these two. It's going to be taking the longest. So likely Tucson, if I recall correctly. Maricopa County is somewhere around there. Also, like you can see the palatable difference from all of the California transplants.
Oh, California.
Texas. Interesting. So San Antonio always goes blue. It's just not a great city. For some reason, people who have been historically kept in poverty by Democrats continue voting for Democrats, I guess, to be further kept in poverty. Houston
Well,
went
if you solve a
blue.
problem, what are you going to campaign on?
Yeah, my question sort of works the other way around. Why are the people who are getting the short stick of that equation continuing to vote for the short end of the stick? A couple big counties shifted blue. El Paso blue. Seriously, are you for real? Oh, I guess demographics are shifting some of the vote.
As they say, demographics are destiny.
Well, we're gonna be turning those demographics around with some heavy deporting. By the way, it's looking. I'm very interested to see. I would like to see Republicans get the popular vote as well. I want them to knock all of the wind out of any fucking argument that the Dems will try to pull. Like, I want them to not have the popular vote. The popular vote is a misnomer in and of itself, but I want them to deprive of that, of even that.
Yeah.
Give them nothing.
I mean,
take from
he's
them
5
everything.
mil or so ahead. 5 mil or so ahead so far.
California. Unfortunately,
How many people are in California?
Lots of California. Well, that depends on who you count. I maintain that the census should not count non-citizens. California. Well, I mean, to be fair, California is now about what? It's 3 million people lighter. It's
Good point.
The first time in 30 years that it's experienced a net loss of population. But
which they do desperately need.
Okay, so the entirety of California is 39 million as of 2023.
Sorry, what was that?
39 million. So it's enough to sway. But then again, even if people in California try to turn out for Trump, and even if they lose the state, which they will, it will still contribute to the popular vote.
How many people does the USA have overall?
Oh, we have a lot. USA population. We're the size of like all of Europe. 335 million.
Okay, so if we assume half of that are
No, not half. 30% is usual turnout. So we can account
I
for
meant even
100.
eligible.
So usual voter turnout is about what, 33%.
Yeah,
California does deserve better. That's why I maintain that we should annex California from Californians. You trust Melty? Don't even fucking. Let's jeb her when she's dead and buried, okay? I don't even want to fucking entertain the memes right now.
I trust that there's still a way for Ron Paul to win.
Well, Rand Paul is already winning. Wait, no, never mind. One of the fucking Pauls, I forget which one, is actually being included into the Trump cabinet. I forget if it's Ron Paul or Rand Paul.
I know they're looking at Ron Paul for the federal efficiency thing.
Yes. Ron Paul. Okay, yeah, because Rand Paul, he's still the Kentucky senator. So, is he though? Let's check the Senate race. Ooh, that's fucking. That's a way uglier fucking map. Although to be fair, not every state has a Senate election this time of year. Yeah,
I mean, by the looks of it, it looks like the Republicans have won the Senate.
Yeah, Kentucky is not up for the vote. And it also went overwhelmingly red. You DM'd me, Tron Paul.
The House is also looking like it's going to be Republican.
Oh, hell yeah. I can't
Maybe not a majority. It's hard to say.
Yes, Donald, I rigged it for you. Let me show the meme since Sun sent it in. Oh, just a second. I need to let me capture the caption there. We appreciate all meme submissions, even if I am a little bit slow with onboarding them.
It reminds me of the oh god, what was it? The delegate stuff from last time. What was it?
You ship Trumo? What is it? What is a Trumo?
Oh, the skeleton delegates. That was it. Skelegons.
Yes, Donald, I rigged it for you. He has to be so fucking salty. If, like, in the rare moments where he's cognizant, he has to be so fucking salty. Like, there were already rumors that he despised Kamala, even when he just got into office. The way that they did him dirty.
Yeah.
Can we watch the Skelegets video? If you send me the Skelegets video, sure.
Oh god, the Skelegets.
You knew it was...
That's ancient.
Send in the video, we'll watch it. Trident forever. I mean, there is a photo of Biden wearing a Trump hat, so... Biden was brought into the party on the endorsement of the old Blue Dog KKK-approved Dixiecrats. Yeah, that is true. Biden is a grade of shit we were never supposed to get rid of. Yeah.
I'll send you this. Oh, Sun sent you it.
Sun got us, yeah. Oh, boy. Oh.
It's an old one. It's from the first Trump campaign.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Did you think I'd forgotten, Arnold? For 1,000 years I have waited, watched in dejection as you made your pitiful country great again. I really hope you enjoyed yourself. I do. Because in the time that you were president, I have amassed a great and terrible army of skeleton delegates. Skelegets, if you will, Donald. Without you around to ward off the forces of chaos, I can finally escape from my prison. You just made your first mistake, Donald. Now I can return to that fateful night in 2016 and claim what is rightfully mine. Together with my army of Skelegets, I will finally have the majority needed to become the Republican nominee and fight for a principled, conservative campaign for president. Nothing will stand in our way. Goodbye, Donald. Your New York ways will taint the party no longer. This is the priesthood rising. With my new powers, I will plunge this country into 10,000 years of darkness. And the delegates, they will be at my side every step of the way. Thank you, Donald.
See, I like Ted Cruz. He does very little, but he is so entertaining when he fucking murders someone on cross. Let me actually try to pull up a video. Oh no.
Is Ted Cruz even still alive?
Yeah, he just won the Senate race for Texas. I voted for Ted Cruz.
Oh, he's still alive then.
He's alive and well. He's like in his 50s.
Donald, take the delegates. They're yours. You both can't stay here to fight, and you know it. And I realize now which of us is more important. I always thought that I'd be the true constitutional conservative to protect the White House. But you understood the globalist threat.
Oh, I remember this one.
And that's the greatest enemy of the Constitution. Besides, I brought some delegates of my own. This oversized 1,236 count magazine has tremendous stopping power. I can hold them all while you run. Besides, I keep one in the chamber. Ted, I don't normally apologize, it's true. But I admit that I'm sorry I called you Lion Ted. You should be called Soarin' Ted, like an eagle. Donald,
I'm sorry, I'm not quite grasping the humor of this. I hate to be the buzzkill in the room.
This one didn't work as well. The Skelegets thing was a masterpiece.
The Skelegets was at least accidentally funny. Let me try to pull up.
Shinzo, was that you?
That was Shinzo. Shinzo protects. God, it is so unfortunate. It is so unfortunate.
Did you see the thing about the witches?
About the what?
So you had a bunch of self-proclaimed witches in the USA trying to hex Trump.
Oh, that happens like every other year. You'd have to
Oh,
be
but no, get
you'd
this
have to
right.
be more specific, or send me the link, I guess.
But get this right. A bunch of them came out saying that they'd been trying to get him with something, but something was protecting him.
And it was Shinzo Abe this entire time. Atropa, given how they look, I think your hexes are actually working. You are seeping their mana.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
See, I have deep regrets about Shinzo Abe just getting deep in bed with the fucking Moonies. Like, we would have lived in a way better world, and Japan would have been in a way better place if not for his association with the Moonies. Because despite the fact that I like Shinzo Abe and his policies, he did have it coming, and it was a just killing.
Judge Lopez,
I
I
mean,
quickly note there's a reason the Democrats...
Politicians love cults.
Sure, but again, he fucked around and he found out.
scheduled you on this panel.
I mean, when you stop and think
because
about it
you
from
have
an
a long
electioneering
pattern.
standpoint, a cult's a great friend to have.
The Japanese voting bloc is not that dynamic that you need the support of a cult. Ban and jail
No,
them.
no.
You'll get more support from that.
Basically, you throw them a totally irrelevant bone that nobody else cares about. And in return, you not only get the financial support, but you also get the manpower.
Wait, PA is in Philadelphia? Yeah, well, Japanese politics have different problems than ours. They are over stagnant and they rely very much on demographics. Pennsylvania. They're starting to get an upcropping of insidious communists trying to worm their way back into politics, because I guess we just need another Yamaguchi Otoya.
Look, they should just submit to my rule. I won't lead them wrong.
Debatable. But the point being is that their politics were extremely stagnant, and it was up for the. I believe their effectively their conservative party is called something. Fuck, I forget their party names. They're sort of generic that you forget them the other day. But the problem here is, again, like, sure, you want leverage from the Moonies, understandable. The Abe family has been in cahoots with them for quite a while. That's how he got shot, man. And again, I have to admit, it was a justified killing. The man did it to bring attention to the fact of the Moonies having way too much power in politics, and now the Moonies are being actively prosecuted and chased out of Japan. Shinzo Abe.
To be fair, he initially wanted to kill someone involved with the Moonies, but he just couldn't get close to them. Their security was better than Shinzo's.
He could get close to them, but he could only execute an attack that would generate collateral damage, and he didn't want that. So Shinzo Abe was the second best target because he could target him specifically. What's up with Asians and having out of control cults with way too much power? Koreans.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. What's the cult of Demeter of the Eleusinian mysteries doing these days? I think most of their niche is now occupied by people who can make good peyote buttons. Hecate has more worshippers, although she's related to the Eleusinian mysteries. I think most of the analog of Eleusinian mysteries now are pursued on ayahuasca journeys. Like, they have sort of overtaken that market of oraclic visions. But let's take a moment to appreciate Ted Cruz in his natural environment of cross-examination.
Criminal defendants. Judge Lopez, I'm going to quickly note there's a reason the Democrats have scheduled you on this panel, because you have a long pattern of sentencing criminal defendants to egregiously light sentences. Including one child molester who molested a 4-year-old and 9-year-old, and you sentenced him to only 6 years in prison, including, as we heard before, one woman who was responsible for killing her 1-year-old son, who was coated in fentanyl. His pajamas were coated in fentanyl. His sheets were coated in fentanyl. You could have sentenced her to 30 years. You sentenced her to only 4 years.
Motherfucker.
It's an egregious pattern, but the reason you're put on this panel is the Democrats know that most Republicans will not have time to question you about that terrible record, because your colleague on this panel, her record is even worse. Ms. Campbell, I will say I have seen some astonishing nominees from this administration, but I have to admit your record takes the cake. A judge should not be a political activist. Your record demonstrates to me a long history of being a political activist, but not just an activist who affiliates with extreme and radical organizations. Now, when Senator Grassley asked you about the Workers' Dignity Organization, you gave, I think, deliberately misleading answer. You said you did not represent them, and that convinced Senator Grassley not to continue on that line of questioning. You have been a legal advisor to that organization since 2013. That is what you have publicly printed on your...
Bigger Brand, the most horrific part of that is that she is not any kind of outstanding case amongst most Biden administration nominees to circuit courts. Like, all of them are completely batshit insane far left activists who use the power of the gavel to do nothing but proselytize, release criminals into the population, and generally rot the foundations of our society.
AVO biography.
It is pretty crazy how bad legislating via the courts has gotten over in the States.
Explicitly says she served as a legal advisor for local workers' rights nonprofit Workers' Dignity. Now, why is it you're distancing yourself from them? The reason is because they are utterly radical.
Atropa has committed. Atropa is about to violate TOS.
If you look at this group that you've served as the legal advisor for over a decade, this is an openly Marxist organization. This is a communist organization. Now, those words are not said lightly.
Who would have
According
thought?
to their own characterization of their views, this group says there's no election outcome that improves conditions for workers. The laws of this country have never worked for our people, and now that the system is crumbling, we will continue to stand in community and solidarity with each other. The only way we win in a world we deserve is by building a multiracial working class revolution that can push out white nationalism, violent state racism, and the capitalist class that is desperately clutching to hold control and profits as the people rise up. Why have you spent...
I'm gonna stop him for a moment there, but the Democrats are totally not communists. You're just fear-mongering, by the way.
Totally not communists.
Mm-hmm. I'll leave this little reminder in the corner there.
Decade as a legal advisor to an...
Do you know whatever happened to the Communist Party of Britain?
I believe you told me they got into infighting and basically... Oh God, what happened? I don't remember.
Basically, they were heavily financed by the Soviet Union.
As you do.
And they built up a rather substantial cash and property portfolio.
As you do.
And when the Soviet money stopped coming, they started arguing over it. And it ended up with them splitting up based on whoever had control of particular assets.
Huh, interesting. Now, Terry, the problem is that the Democrats, or rather, okay, fine, the left wing of the Democrat Party is the Communist Party now. Crypto up even more, Kamala down 10 cents. Oh, you love to see it. California started rolling. California hasn't counted any votes. It's already blue.
I mean, it's a good prediction.
Gee, I wonder why. Washington, same. How many electoral? 54 electoral votes. That is horrific.
Yeah, California gets a fuck ton.
Yeah, well, that's because they count their illegals in the census, and that gives them representation seats.
Maybe Texas needs to start counting its illegals.
It does. The problem is I'd rather not count illegals at all. It's technically not fair that non-citizens get to influence the outcomes of federal elections, even by proxy. Oh, what do you know?
It is pretty crooked.
Arizona has counted 50% of their ballots. Not in Maricopa, though.
And who are they going for?
The storm drain people of Vegas have yet to start counting. But if they have 54 electoral votes, that's way too fucking much. That is way too fucking much. We need. Okay, never mind. I have changed my opinion. We have to just ship California off and push it out into the sea. There is no other way.
Oh, you know what you could do? Detach it from the USA and sail it over to Europe. The continent will love them.
Oh, they're already basically Europe. They are the most European state in the Union.
The EU would positively adore them for like 10 minutes, and then they would realize they hate them.
They're not that different. Let's not big it up. They're very European in their sensibilities.
No.
Not Central European, but like North and Western European. Oh, they'll fit right in. With the fucking French, oh. They'll be.
Oh no, the French, the Californians like, oh, nuclear bad, and then the French would be like, we're sending in the gendarmes.
They'll give them the Algeria treatment.
If they got lucky.
Yeah,
some California would start complaining about France Afrique, and then they'll be like the French say, like, forget the gendarmes, we're sending in the army.
A trope of Pennsylvania seems to be leaning red. 70% of the vote is in. With what we have, if Trump gets what is WI? Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. It does not matter. Getting one would win at this point. I still cope and want to see Hawaii turn red. I want them to concentrate the bile. I want them to have that as a final fuck you for the mishandling of the Maui fire.
You know, what I want to see out of Hawaii...
Most of Colorado... Yeah, I can see by how Colorado is looking. Most of Colorado...
I want to see a breakdown of voting habits in Hawaii based on ethnicity.
Plus the cessburg of Harrisburg. What is Harrisburg? Oh, the only blue places are the hellhole of Philly, and maybe some Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's usually like that. Voted for a fucking ammunition excise tax. Fuck. Well,
how horrifying.
Well, I mean, it's something for the gun advocacy groups to challenge, because you could challenge that in courts, like a district. I can see a circuit court. It is technically illegal, yeah. Voted down 2 school choice. Of course they did. I actually need to check my school district results. But yeah, that sounds like work for FPC or GOA. So, like, everyone who lives in Colorado should just buy a box of ammo, say that they've been unfairly taxed, and just be the plaintiff in a court case. The Colorado Supreme Court is hard in the tank. They'll need the U.S.
Iron feather California transplants.
Well, for one, oh yeah, I'll fuck it. I'll pin that in chat. I'll manually unpin it. There you go.
I have exactly the same feeling in regards to Londoners.
See, well, I'm not sure which one is worst, because Londoners, well, I guess proportionally they are the California of England. The Rocky Mountains gun owners are the ones leading the charge in legal challenges. Yeah, listen, I think, fortunately, state laws apparently are just a fart in a snowstorm at this point. The process established by Bruin is very much well placed to dismantle dogshit legislation like that. It's a question of someone doing the legwork of just being a complainant in a case like that. It is looking pretty heavily red. I wonder if male turnout is better this year, because men vote predominantly red.
I've been hearing a lot of like men turning out in droves for this one.
Good to see. I mean, it's good that we can avoid the stage of weak men bringing on bad times. See, it's It actually confirms my old theory, if you remember that one, that the speed with which information travels in the modern age actually prevents certain large systems like the US to falling into destructive cycles like the Roman Empire did. Like, we have the opportunity as a population to flexibly react to these threats. Like, we've had 4 years of Joe Biden, and then with how fast information travels, we as a society have decided that that kind of sucks. I kind of don't like having my grocery bill double every 3 years. If Kamala
Have you
wins, I
ever-
should recolor my model from red to blue. No, thank you. I am a
Have you ever played a game, Kuro, called Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri?
Yeah, more than doubled actually. I'm being somewhat generous. No, I have not. By the way, Digby, are you good for time? I hope I'm not keeping you too late, given that you and
Oh
Son
no,
are...
don't you worry about me. I always stay awake for the U.S. election anyways because it's funny.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. It's a civilization game.
See, Atropa, I don't disagree with voting on groceries. Groceries are a better indicator than just the raw CPI, because the CPI can be fucked with, and how much you pay for groceries can't. Like, I very specifically remember being able to buy a week's worth of very nice groceries for barely over $100. Yeah, you can bullshit a lot. You can't bullshit your grocery bill. Should do a multiplayer game. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. How similar is it to Endless Space? Nevada still has to count a single vote.
It's an early civilization game.
Listen, it's only 8 p.m. Or wait, what is it? They're on what? They're on Mountain Time? Or are they on Pacific Time? I forget. If it's Pacific Time there, it's only 8 p.m. Ellie, they even the bars are still open. Why do you how do you expect them to even make it to the polling place this early? It's Civilization 2 has a ton of features from future Civ games. Nice. In grad school, you were living on under $30 a week. Yeah, not including the beer. Was it healthy? No, but it was your fault. You could afford better. Many such cases. Expected those up in Reno, counting not Vegas. Have they really not start? Well, we don't have a granular view. How many votes does... Okay, 6 electoral votes. New Mexico is leaning Kamala. How many votes do they get? 5 electoral votes. Your home in 2 states combined into 1? I'm not...
Maybe it straddles the state line?
I guess.
That would be very awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Okay, let's finish watching this.
I don't think your microphone's on.
I apologize, Senator. If I could briefly clarify, more than a decade ago,
Okay.
probably for the course of 2 or 3
Well, to be fair, Nevada is Las Vegas and everything else.
years, I served on an advisory board that helped this, at the time, was supposed to be a nonprofit workers'
Liquor has gone up too. Has the excise for liquor gone up, I wonder?
rights organization get set up and get started.
Did you know they were a communist?
She does look, yeah, she looks like those dead fucking eyes. Like, her whole facial expression is, oh shit, I got caught. Oh, actual cost? Well, yeah, because logistics are more expensive.
Organization?
Senator, at that time, they did not express these kinds of...
She is literally the fucking meme of the sweat rolling down your face when you're asked an uncomfortable question. She is sweating in her seat, live in okay, not 4K, live in 1080p. There is 4K.
Yeah, she is. She's.
Let's make
not
sure
in a happy place.
It was an organization.
She was not ready for the cruise missile. No one ever is.
So this is new. This wasn't the case then.
Yes, and I have not been affiliated with them in more than a decade.
You're aware that you're...
Son, I think there's an important distinction to make between silly mistakes and being the advocate for an openly violent revolutionary communist organization. And if you were dumb enough to actually participate in one, have the balls to disavow them as the retards as that they are. Just go out there, state that I was young, I was stupid, I was bad at math, I completely and wholly disavow commies belong in a noose. End of quote.
Current profile that you have up, your legal bio says
That
you
would
are
require
right
her to
now
take a
an
strong
advisor to
stance.
them.
I apologize for any confusion about that. As
So
I
your
said,
testimony under oath, and that's all right. The facts will come out, but your testimony I want to make it explicit. Your testimony under oath is that you have done absolutely nothing and had zero contact.
No, Terry. I think that's just a very unfortunate physiognomy and the consequence of an unhealthy lifestyle. It's something that's very commonly found in leftists because a part of their coping and seething is actually derived from self-inflicted health issues.
Contact with them for how long?
She's probably also wearing a ton of makeup for the cameras.
She's probably
I have
sweated it
not
all
served
off.
on their advisory boards for
You've done absolutely nothing and had zero contact with them for how long? Please answer the question.
many, many years. Sir.
How many?
I don't know. Sitting here today, it's
Son,
been many years.
he
Look
never
at other
pulls
statements from
punches.
this organization.
When Ted Cruz smells blood in the water, he just fucking goes for it. I love watching him cross-examine people.
Because they are radicals. They are radicals. If you look also, this is the same group in 2020. They called for abolishing ICE, abolishing prisons, and detention.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I misclicked. I wanted to check the quality.
And I have not been affiliated with them.
Abolishing ICE, abolishing prisons and detention centers, and abolishing the police. Why did you volunteer
I don't remember, no, Terry, is how she gets to lie under oath.
for a communist organization that calls for abolishing ICE and abolishing the police?
Senator, I have never seen these comments before.
You didn't know who you were
Abolish
volunteering for?
I was not a
colonialism.
volunteer for them.
The
at
USA
that
has
point.
Or a legal advisor,
basically
were you paid?
pushed that
No, I
for
was
the
not.
Then you were
last
a
century.
volunteer. If you volunteer to be a legal
Well, leftists in the U.S. have been pushing that specifically. It is very much a result of the influence of a Soviet-informed fifth column. You don't play fighting games, but this is the moment in fighting games when the guy has you trapped in a combo and there's just nothing you can do. Yeah, he stun-locked her with all of the plus frames.
advisor, you were a volunteer. Why did you
dear.
volunteer? Do you support
I always
abolishing
feel
ICE?
sorry for her.
Senator, at this time,
Do you support abolishing ICE?
I do not, Senator.
Well, it's amazing because a minute ago you also told Senator Graham that the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition that has a manifesto calling for abolishing ICE, you said you had nothing to do with it, which is fairly astonishing because on page 3 of their manifesto, they thank you by name for what they say. We would like to thank the following individuals and organizations for their thoughtful feedback and input. This platform would not have been possible without their expertise. Are they lying?
Senator, I'm not familiar with that manifesto.
Are they lying?
She is so cooked. By the way, I forgot to give Digby a shout out. I know that he's mentioned in the title, but also make sure to go and follow him. Oh, we just witnessed a murder.
Yeah.
But on the
Lock
subject
that man up.
on the subject of bears, we can't lock him up. He's our new well, he's not our new. He's our incumbent senator who just won another election cycle.
I just got to BRB a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
I shall return shortly.
Ted Cruz is the Zodiac combo juggler.
Probably gonna come on.
Miro, it's okay. It's okay if you have a corporate account. It gets the job done. Okay, let's check on the election map while Digby is using the facilities. New Mexico is leaning kind of hard for Democrats. MS Paint Supreme. Well, if you're the only one using it, then yeah, sure. If you want to collaborate with other people. That's my serial killer. Listen, I'll take him over the other guy. Illinois. Huh, that's kind of a not a great margin, actually. What the fuck? What the fuck is this map? How is Chicago and fucking in another city in the middle of nowhere turning the entire city deep blue? What the fuck is this? Can we get a vote distribution? 2.5 million people. Illinois is solely carried by the corruption of Chirac. Yeah. I know how this works. We're a representative republic precisely because of that, to avoid unctuous urbanites simply outweighing rural areas. But it looks like rural votes need to be gassed up a little bit. It seems that we're uncovering a severe imbalance in our voting system, just like New York. Let's actually check in on New York. Donald is behind by 1 million. Well, see, in New York, like every major city is voting blue, which is to be expected. Upstate New York could be amazing to live in. I mean, upstate New York could always secede into a separate state. I'm just saying. NorCal was attempting to do that. How did this work in the past when only gentry or whatever could vote? Well, if I recall correctly, up to a certain point, your voting rights were tied to being subscribed to the draft, signed on to the draft rather. So basically, inherently, only men could vote, and that was, I believe, after landowner voting. I'm fine with either, honestly, as a system, with either the draft or landowning for the purpose of voting. Digby, if you're back, you're muted, just in case you're saying something.
Oh no, I mean, I just haven't said anything yet.
Okay. In this day and age, women
In this
can't...
day and age, women can get drafted.
Not yet. Not yet.
Draft our daughters.
They're not signed on to the... They don't have an obligation to sign on to the draft yet. And a bout of good news, it snowed today. No, I live in Texas, and I moved to Texas to very specifically never see winter again. Fuck winter. It is cringe.
I'm in awe. I'm shocked.
Adding restrictions to voters is a tricky issue because it's liable to corruption on the part of whoever decides what entitles someone to vote. To have a clear standard. You own land, you have an active lease, which confirms your investment in a specific area, then you can vote there. Simple as. Or
yes, but how much land?
Just anything. If you have any kind of documented tie to a piece of property that is your domain, then
so a 1 square meter plot of land?
If it's residential land, then yes.
So what's residential land in this definition? Are we counting single family homes? Are we counting multi-occupancy units?
Multi-occupancy units count for you to be able to vote as an individual, yes, not as a corporate entity.
But you don't own it.
What do you mean you don't own it?
You don't own the land. You own the building. In multi-occupancy units, you typically own the building rather than the land.
Well, then, tough shit. You don't get to vote.
So we've already gone from those people can vote to those people can't vote.
Well, again, it depends on what kind of structure you want to set up. I would allow having an active lease agreement within a specific voting year to be enough grounds to be registered. Like, you at least having some stake. I would allow the rentoids to vote, basically. So Bill Gates and the Chinese have multiple votes? No, they also get just the one if they're US citizens. We should have the right to conquer Chi-Com-owned farmlands under a letter of reprisal. I agree with that. I think we should we should requisition their land by force.
That reminds me, wasn't the USA talking about issuing letters of marque a while back?
I keep hearing about that for 2 days in a row because Badger brought it up recently. Is my right as a fashion professional because fuck Temu? Yes. The land ownership idea seems to work in an older form of the US where real people own land and not massive companies with millions of acres. Well, that's the point, son. Companies can't vote. What's the point? Like, sure, buy up all the fucking land you want. You, as a corporate entity, as long as if the land is assigned to a corporate entity, the corporate entity doesn't have a right to vote. During Trump's last term, he authorized letters of marque. Nice.
As I recall, it was in response to pirates. It was basically authorizing
we have
private US vessels.
We have PMCs. Like, what is the
Yeah,
difference?
exactly. I think that's what it was leading up to, but it never went that far because none got issued.
No, but we have PMCs already. Like, Blackwater is a thing, although under a different name now.
The main difference here is that Blackwater couldn't legally go out there in a boat and start shooting up pirates.
Probably
with a letter of marque, they would be going out there with the authority of the U.S. government to do so.
Love it, love it. I love everything about this. I am now a single issue voter. My dream of a private military company, of a privateer company, draws closer by the day.
Like that's literally what a privateer is. It is someone who sails under a letter of marque.
Just think, son. It is of no consequence if you own land by corporate means. Like, you still have to be a physical person with a physical state ID to vote in a specific place. Like, we have the semblance of that, like the semblance of local people being allowed to vote. It's just that right now we also allow transients and rentoids to do that.
The issue Sun's pointing out is more that when you start putting criteria on who can and cannot vote,
someone is going to try
easy.
to gamify it. But the issue is that it's difficult to gamify, even with land ownership. Like, what the fuck are they going to do? Are they going to start gifting land to illegal? Although they probably will.
They probably would do that, but they might also go, you need X amount of land. You need land that's zoned for a specific purpose.
My solution is actually very different. Like, land ownership is a very obvious solution. My preferred method is limiting the vote to net taxpayers who are residents of a specific county. Like, if within the previous tax year you've paid more taxes, just in any form, just any federal tax, then you have received government benefits. Like, if you've paid a penny more of federal tax, net taxpayers excluding veterans. Veterans are a separate subject. We count their time as service as, like, I don't know, lifetime credit, I guess. You wouldn't.
That would mean someone like Jeff Bezos couldn't vote.
Jeff Bezos pays a lot of tax.
He also receives a lot of subsidy.
Well, there you go. Then does he personally receive the subsidies, or does his company receive subsidies?
Actually, as I recall, does he not pay tax? As I recall, he mainly derives his personal spending money from loans.
He probably still draws a salary, so
he has a lot of he's one of those people who has a very weird tax situation.
Well, his weird tax situation is that he probably defers a lot of the capital that goes through his companies in order to not overpay tax, which I respect.
I think it's more like he tries to make it so he doesn't pay tax at all.
Based.
He copied the U.S. government.
Yeah, I said, sorry, you will not get me to trash Daddy Bezos. Not only because I use Bezos bucks that I receive as cashback to pay for my kid on Amazon, but generally, like, yeah, cut those taxes. Basically, fuck income tax. Isn't that actually one of the propositions that Trump has aired on Rogan?
Yes, he has.
Cutting federal income tax, replacing it with tariffs. I fucking love it. Imagine being employed. Listen,
it would certainly make life difficult for the U.S. federal government.
I love it.
They would have to shrink massively.
Well, listen, Atropa, you don't count as a welfare queen because I assume a lot of your income sources comes from your service. How much spending comes from taxes versus debt? That's a good question. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. I do remember that 60% of our budget is entitlement programs. So if we deprive the government of money, maybe they'll stop spending it on stupid shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, if veteran benefits, I don't count them in the same category. Like, if you 100% service connected, yeah, I don't think we should touch that. Like, you make a commitment and you take on actually quite tremendous risk by enrolling in the military. And much more importantly, for example, for me, the big reason I've never gone into a military is because you cede your personal authority and your personal autonomy. Like, that is something that is a big hang up for me and why I never went to serve. But I respect people who are able to set that aside and go into the service. And that's why I think those benefits Real yeah, listen, mercenaries get paid. They get paid fucking stacks for a reason. There's hazard pay
Yeah.
included into it. I respect the trade. I'm fortunate enough to not need to engage with it. Reduce the benefits of those non-taxpayers. People of so usually people who are on other like benefits like unemployment, they don't pay a lot of taxes. 40% of the U.S. adult population is well, no, not the adult population, but 40% of the U.S. population pays zero income tax.
I wish I paid zero income tax.
Same. I unfortunately have to suffer at 8%. But the point I was making is
I wish I paid 8% income tax.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you have to support the holy NHS. It is your cross to bear.
I wouldn't mind if the government wasn't trying to privatize it.
But the point I was making, I think Twitch did automatic withholding. Yes, they do. But if you file your tax returns, depending on your bracket, you can actually get that money back, depending on how much you earn overall in a year. Like, I got my Twitch payout in the middle of the year, and there was a tax withholding on it, but I'm going to add that to my tax return, and I'm likely to get money back. Just because they charge you at, like, the maximal tax bracket.
No, Terry, it's a little more complicated than that. Especially in regards to the NHS. The NHS is a long, complicated subject. Basically,
well, see, the NHS
government's
is
trying
so
to privatize it.
Yeah, the NHS is so large and so overarching because it's a unitary structure. Like when you over centralize it and then you try to privatize it, you're just going to end up with like the bad end of crony capitalism. Like
yeah, exactly.
You're going to end up with the BlackRock of healthcare.
You get the best, you get the worst of privatized, and you get the worst of nationalized.
Yeah, so the correct way to approach this is to break it up first and then privatize it.
Or just don't privatize it to begin with.
Well, then enjoy paying 36% income tax.
Realistically, we'd probably be paying less than that if they weren't fucking it up constantly.
Ignoring any slippery slope issue, adding £5 cost to get a checkup at the NHS would fix much of the NHS. Yes, generally the problem with the NHS well, for one, you could start with limiting access to it to every Tom, Dick, and Muhammad. Especially,
yeah, it should be citizen only. We should be charging people,
or at least
from outside the country.
Net taxpayers. Like people who pay into the pot get to draw from the pot.
I mean, I would just say limit it to citizens. Limited citizens, yes, your problem half solved.
Yeah, basically. Like it's a national healthcare system. If you're not part of the scheme, you don't get to use it for free. At least, like pay the premium. Japan, I think, does something like that because, like, I had to have a minor injury get looked at in Japan, and I paid. I don't know what I paid some insignificant amount of money, like less than $50 for a checkup.
Oh yeah, people they go to A&E for like minor issues, son. It's fucking annoying.
Basically, yeah.
Is it nice to have my own personal American? Yeah, Kuro's good people.
Listen, I am significant. I am way too large for him to attack me, so we've worked out an arrangement that works for everyone. I am on the verge of getting a cat. Once I move to a more spacious living circumstance, I'm getting a cat. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with being catless.
Yeah, you can't have a cat in like a more urban area. It's got to be somewhere with lots of room to run around.
I don't live in an urban area. I just want a bigger space. That's it. And because I'm currently renting, I'll just have a lot of overhead costs that I have to pay to the to my landlords. Yeah, I'm currently a rentoid, unfortunately. I'm looking to correct that soon.
Man, I'd love to correct that, but I don't have 50 grand lying around.
50 grand is not going to cut it. I'm going to go deep into generational debt.
They've actually tried to introduce generational mortgages here.
Refresh map, check Michigan. Holy shit.
Where's Michigan?
Michigan went red. No fucking way. Flint, Michigan
see.
is red. Let's fucking go.
It's only 36%.
Listen,
It's only 36%.
it started blue. It started blue. I want to believe. I insist on believing.
It's a shame Detroit has stayed blue.
Listen, they never learn.
It still would have been funny if they finally did.
Canned Bean Quicko, you will not be happy till New York votes Trump. You are so correct for that. That is such a vibe, and I completely subscribe to that. I think that New York deserves all of the bad things that happened to them because they refused to vote Trump.
You know what's wild to me? A few years before he ran for president, Donald Trump was credited as the man who saved New York City.
He was everyone's favorite guy. He was the guy. He was him because he was socializing with those people. He was donating to their campaigns. But once he started muscling in on their territory in terms of influence, they got fucking defensive because he was not supposed to do that. He was supposed to be an obedient little oiler, a quiet little pay piggy.
Yeah, that's why Obama roasted him at an event Trump was hosting in one of his own buildings.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because Obama thought he could get away with it. How'd that play out, Obama? Trump and Michael Jackson basically built entire burn wards. Yeah, I can see that. Obama never recovered. Listen, his first mistake was shacking up with Big Mike, okay?
It's not just that, though. Trump rebuilt a good chunk of New York City after it had fallen into complete decay.
Oh, that's also true.
He contributed financially to rebuilding its parks, turned slums into areas people could actually live in.
Alex Jones is calling into Crowder, no shirt on. Oh no, we need to watch him go Super Saiyan. Are they on Rumble? Yeah, Alex Jones is still around.
Your headcanon is that Trump only ran because of the Obama roast.
Charlie, my headcanon is similar.
For peace of mind, which is why I trust 4 Patriots.
Really,
I think it might have influenced
real
him.
food inside of these bags.
I can't make
I have a theory. I'll
You have
share.
to think of it as an insurance plan.
When we have a big storm and the power goes out, I know I can get the refrigerator.
Oh wow,
running,
survival
and
food.
This heated vest was originally developed for soldiers.
It's the fault of my cookies. I get targeted for it all the time.
That's right. Military technology designed for...
But it was a man who had a repentant heart. It was a man who always came back to God. And I would tell you,
vest.
Alex Jones, every time he's been going through some stuff, and I talk with Alex, he goes, you know what, I'm doing this, but I really need to spend more time in prayer with God, and I really want to get in. I know that health was a big thing where you said, he would say, you know what,
Just a second,
I got to
just a
get back
second.
in shape. It's just been so stressful. And you know what, man? He had the biggest lawsuit in modern American history as far as a bullshit
No, I don't have
ruling.
ad block.
So,
Get
you know
off
what? You
my-
had
get
plenty
off
of
my
reasons to be
shit.
stressed. So, hey, I know you have more goals to go, but man, you should be proud of yourself. And I'm not just saying that. You really are. You're looking good. You're doing well.
It's a great way to handle the stress too. I mean, this is keeping them alive, bro.
Eat sea moss.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I think so. I don't know.
I'm telling you, sea moss is amazing.
Where do you get that? The bottom of a boat? What?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened.
Scrape it off.
That's what
It's
happened.
Irish sea moss. Listen, I just go with whatever it's got the best iron.
There we
and all these
go.
weird minerals and vitamins that are only in the sea moss. And I am doing a plug here because we
gonna
can be
get it.
shut down next to. InfoWars is up for sale next Tuesday, forced by the court, but we'll continue on in the air one way or another, working with great folks. So yeah, it's just emblematic of the tyranny
Of
we're under.
course
Like Elon
he's
Musk
selling
on
his
Rogan,
pills.
he said he could, if
Let him
Kamala
cook,
gets in,
let
he's
him
gonna be
cook.
shut down. This isn't a game. They've tried to shut you down. So we joke around and stuff, and I torture people looking at my, because you made jokes about the shirts. I thought I'd go really crazy on air, but I mean, this is a war. This is a real deal. So I hope Trump wins today.
Yeah.
What are you predicting, Crowder?
I think he is going to win. I think it's going to be very close. We called Georgia. I think we'll be making the call of North Carolina quite soon.
1776
I'm getting word now that we are going to
shirtless.
be calling North Carolina in just a minute. Actually, you know what? Hey, before we continue, do you want to be here for us to call North Carolina with you?
Yeah,
right
he's
now
just a
with us?
humble vitamin merchant.
I do. I should probably put my shirt
No,
back
no, no,
on.
no.
So
Keep
you
no,
guys,
No,
Trust
keep
me,
it
trust
off.
me. This gets, Alex, you haven't seen the entirety of the show. It gets weirder. So, what you're going to be able to he can see program? Hold on.
I don't. All right, I'm gonna touch on Crowder a little bit later.
Right, am I right? We're gonna
He's
call
built
it
like a
right now.
fucking
Time for
space
another
marine.
state
He
call.
is.
And then, yeah.
It's a microphone on his neck. It's. Or an earpiece,
Brought to you
actually.
by Noble Gold, and as we've been doing all night, of course, we have Donald Trump, the next president, who is here to call the state of North Carolina.
This has to be a bit. Oh yeah, it's a bit, okay.
I'm having a good time, North Carolina, you can do tonight.
Okay, I don't, the musical numbers, just lose me, sorry. What was I saying? Crowder, yeah. So listen, first of all content creators are narcissistic shitbags who have never had a real job in their life. They have not worked a real job, they don't understand shit about fuck. Crowder very much included. However, I may disagree with him on like 20% of his platform. We are fundamentally both American enough to know to stay out of each other's way, and I will continue to respect him and the work that he does, despite very aggressive odds, until such time that he decides to infringe upon my interests, and that will be the last mistake he ever makes.
Has Alex Jones ever commented on anime?
No, Alex Jones has never commented on anime. Daily Wire on YouTube, I don't want to watch Benny Shapiro. He's not... Listen, despite him being a fellow desert traveler, I don't hold him in too high of a regard. I'm sorry. What does he have to say? Daily Wire. He's just okay. He's inoffensive. Not terribly funny too. Okay, they're live.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
And which one is likely to...
Okay, Atropa, the liberty is a separate subject, but, like, we're gonna disagree more than agree on that one. I just don't like Shapiro personally. No, Ben's sister is unfortunately not here, otherwise we would have been watching this way earlier. Liberty is a misnomer. It is a talking point usually proliferated by people who are afraid of professing their hatred for the Jews, thus identifying the fact that they have a sub 100 point IQ. Shapiro reminds you too much of Destiny. They do have a very fucking uncanny resemblance. It's like Destiny is like the bad ending Shapiro. You know what I mean? Like, he could have turned out as a good Catholic boy, but instead he's a blue-haired cuck. People
What
will
even
hear...
is Shapiro's bit these days?
Nothing. He's just fallen in line. He's just generally pro-Republican because he understands just the grave consequences of not falling in behind Donald. But yeah, I react sharply to the USS Liberty just because it's trotted up by troglodytes like fucking Jake Shields and the type, like it means something in the larger sphere of things. And usually it's people so stupid that it really is not worth my time explaining the concept of Pax Americana, that Israel exists where it does so that the US doesn't have to have American boots on the ground to pacify the region. And yes, and if you don't pacify the region, it will be such a horrendous shithole that will constantly radiate terrorism threats on the rest of the world.
They are nailing the finale. It's unbelievably good. I'm loving every second of it. For the online extras, I'm subscribing. I'm like the merch. Oh, the merch! Are you kidding me? The merch is going to be unreal. It's going to be so good. And I got to tell you, the turning point of this election.
Wait, why did they laugh?
I don't know.
The grave of, and there's a picture of me and Donald Trump making prayers.
I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't abide by Shapiro. No, it's a tired old joke. I'm not making it again. I don't like Shapiro.
He is their boss. They have to laugh.
Fair enough. That's why Candace was fired. Not because she was a closeted fucking black supremacist bigot. Okay. On a more positive note, remember how I said that they were releasing bears into the wild?
Off pretty political, but I promise you it's just me being
Did they release more bears?
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't like bears. Anytime bears are involved, it's not gonna be a good time. Okay, the Chicago Bears, terrible football team. A bear market, that means the economy's doing bad. And then you have grizzly bears, which are absolutely terrifying. So when I wake up one day and this is in the headlines,
Biden admin plans to release predator in your rural communities. Faced widespread opposition. U.S. drafts plan to bring in grizzly bears to Washington's North Cascade. Biden admin plans to release 7 grizzly bears annually. He looks like
a lot of bears.
Atropa, I think everyone should be afraid of grizzly bears specifically. I think that's not a controversial statement to make. I don't think I own a caliber high enough with enough stopping power to deal with a grizzly bear effectively. So Colorado voted to reintroduce wolves in a controlled manner. This is not the same thing. God bears. Yes, grizzly bears specifically. Grizzly bears.
Why not?
You're for real right now. Grizzly bears, the only breed of bears that kills for fun and then spreads the entrails to mark their territory just because they fucking can.
You know, if you killed all the interesting animals, then you need new ones to make things interesting, and then you can kill them again.
Sure, you have a 45 Kasul. Yeah, 45 Kasul will do it. You thought Biden would be releasing a different kind? Listen, they're releasing them in Washington. I'm not terribly concerned, but it's the thought that counts. I don't think the bells will do much for grizzly bears, son. You underestimate how dickish they are. Grizzly bears are basically
people?
Worse, dolphins.
Obviously, I'm gonna get a little bit upset, okay?
It's like I said, here we killed all the interesting animals, so...
We have plenty of interesting animals, Digby. We have a fuck ton of very interesting animals. We have wild deer in the woods, at the city edge, okay? We have...
Yeah, we have that.
We have eagles, we have foxes, we have there's plenty of interesting stuff around. We really don't need more grizzlies because we're not at a shortage of those, too.
I mean, we got foxes, we got eagles, we got seagulls, we got all the good stuff. We got birds of prey.
Yeah, there you go. We have what else do we have? We have cranes. Topical.
The Hunger Games.
We don't have any
Basically,
wolves. That's why we're reintroducing them.
Releasing grizzly bears.
Some guy tried to recreate aurochs.
I'm not about it. But
and
like an
now
adult,
there's a bunch of those wild in
headlines
Scotland.
are pretty misleading, so I read the entire article and it's pretty accurate. Basically, the federal government wants to release 7 grizzly bears every year for the next who knows how long into this area in Washington state, and they want to get that number up to 200 grizzly bears. Which brings us to the obvious question, why the fuck would you do that? And I have looked and looked for an answer to this, and as far as I can tell, the only reason they want to start reintroducing bears into this part of the country is because fuck it, bears used to live there, and bears are cool, I guess, is what their strategy is. Which, first of all, no, they're not cool, okay? This isn't a fucking Disney movie. That's not Baloo talking about the bare necessities in the forest. That's a 700-pound meat missile covered in fur that can run 35 miles an hour that eats its prey ass first, okay? There's nothing cute about that. Do you understand the gravity of what I've just explained to you? Brock Lesnar weighed 265 pounds when he was the world heavyweight champion. This bear is equivalent to 3 Brock Lesnars running at you at 35 miles an hour, and to put that into perspective, Usain Bolt tops out at 27.5 miles an hour. Okay, the average American can't outrun heart disease. We're definitely not going to be outrunning fucking grizzly bears if it comes to that. And I can hear the comment section already. Buh, actually bears are more scared of you than you are of them. Buh. No, that's not true. That's some shit your dad told you when you were 7 years old on your first camping trip so that you would shut the fuck up and go to sleep so he could bang your mom in a tent, okay? That's not reality. And then you get all the environmentalist people, but the ones that live way far away from this area, because environmentalists never advocate for shit when it's actually in their own backyard and it affects them, but they're gonna say some shit like, oh, the humans eradicated those kind, gentle creatures, and they used to live in that area, so we should really bring them back. No, okay, we used to have dinosaurs too, and there's an entire movie series about why bringing those back is a terrible idea, okay? Maybe we got rid of it for a reason. Have you ever thought of that? Because last I checked, the easiest way to get a city named after you on the West Coast is to get killed by a grizzly bear, and then they just name a city after you. And then we have to address the elephant in the room, because whether you're left, right, or center on the political spectrum, you have to admit that there is an extra layer of comedy in the fact fact that Joe Biden, of all presidents, wants to start releasing grizzly bears. Okay, look, I'm not a political analyst or like somebody whose opinion you should take very seriously, but I do think it's kind of bad taste to, on one hand, be like, I want to ban powerful guns because I don't think people need them. Also, I'd like to start releasing grizzly bears indiscriminately. Okay, look, I don't ever want to get asked why I need a high-capacity magazine ever again. There's never been a better excuse to have access to a lot of bullets than the federal government colluding with grizzly bears. I mean, this has to be a joke, right? Like, somebody at the White House is just being petty, like, these goddamn gun nuts want the right to bear arms, we're gonna give them the whole fucking bear. Okay, look, regardless of whoever's in office, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, all I'm saying is that the federal government can't do anything without fucking it up, okay? This is a terrible idea. You know what? Let me give you an example off the top of my head. In 1920, the United States government banned alcohol.
Oh,
okay?
Crespian is leaving. Sorry about that. Crespian, good night. Thank you for hanging out.
Or get turned into an ice cream parlor. So a bunch of them did. And then you have all these people that would hang out with their buddies at the bar.
I won't like this one. You forced me to react to it anyway. Okay.
I gotta question the logic of a breeding population of 200. That's not a lot of bear.
Kind of a.
That's not a big gene pool.
Kind of a lukewarm meme, son. Like, you're very dedicated to see results. I can't promise that we're gonna see results because I have work in the morning. We're not gonna stay up unreasonably late, okay?
Yeah, we're probably gonna see them in like 2-3 weeks' time. Depends how long it'll take them to find a printer.
Listen, son, they are going to try. There is no question that shenanigans are being actively attempted, okay? There is absolutely no question. Large predators require a lot of territory, yes. I mean, there is not a shortage of grizzly bears. Yes, send Digby the meme.
Alright, send me the meme. Meme me, son.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Honestly,
I get that reference.
Yeah.
I don't like Harry Potter, but I get that reference.
Fair enough. Do you have 300 million people that are supposed to vote? Probably not. In 5 different time zones, too, by the way.
Give me unlimited access
to
the
dumb.
U.S. federal apparatus, and I can make it happen.
I trust that you would. I could probably make it happen. There's a couple of laws that you can pass that'll make it very easy.
Oh, I don't even need to pass laws. Just give me like 10 minutes in wherever you guys issue passports from. We'll have 300 million extra people.
Sure. We're mostly winning. It's going to be a close call. We're sort of peeking around different streams as well. We could do the elections.
Do the elections in a Twitch poll.
Yeah, fascinating solution. I think Musk attempts that.
4chan raids the U.S. election. Boat faces the new president.
Polymaker rates Trump odds at 83%. Honestly, I would bet on Harris winning just on a throwaway bet with like $200. Because if I lose, thank fucking God. If I win, the odds are such that it's kind of bad, and whatever money I win is going to get devalued pretty quickly. But on the flip side, I could use that to buy up however many guns I'm able to buy.
You could convert it to gold. You could use it to escape the country.
There's really nowhere to escape to, unfortunately.
I don't know. You could go to Mexico, become a drug lord.
Nevada is drinking. Not really my style.
Arms dealer?
That one's a maybe. That one's a maybe. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything interesting. Antifa graffiti in Seattle. Kill cops, fuck Harris. Interesting. Like they're losing the far left wing of their party for predictable reasons. Guns are pretty great. Guns are unironically part of the reason why America is the best place to live in, just on a fundamental level. Vote counting.
They were always going to lose the far left. They locked them into a purity spiral.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens usually.
And the Democrats were always going to be the ones to blink first.
Listen, Nevada is still drunk. Let them. I say that because I've recently been to Vegas, just reminding myself how off-putting that fucking city is.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. I don't want to ever go there.
See, the pictures are pretty. It's just that there's very little to do if you don't drink, horror, gamble.
Yeah, that's basically all I saw in the pictures.
Yeah, that's basically what happens. Like, you need to be drunk enough to have a tolerance for the loud music and for, like, you know, the how should I say this? The average 6 to 4 rated streetwalkers, the entertainment, and then you'll probably have fun. But yeah, not my cup of tea. Unfortunately, a lot of big events happen there. You drink and gamble, and it was still meh. What kind of gambling though? I mean, gambling is different. We should actually try to collect. Is the Buckshot Roulette multiplayer online, or is that still in beta?
It's online.
It's online. Okay. Do I need to buy it as additional DLC?
Yes.
That's a small price.
I think
to
you need
pay.
to buy the game. I can't remember if it's DLC.
I do have the game because I've played Buckshot Roulette on stream. You go full Ben Franklin and start whoring. Listen, however you decide to spend your evenings. Oh, Melty, sorry about that.
Someone ripped Buckshot Roulette and put it in Roblox.
Thank you for the clip. It's always appreciated. I should get you VIP because you clip very consistently. Let me actually go do that right away. And I'll make sure to set Nightbot next time not to get triggered with VIPs posting links. Let's see, community.
You get far too analytical. Oh dear.
No, who gets too analytical? I mean, that's the best way to play it.
No, it's alright. He gets analytical, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not reasonable to expect you to play differently. Well, I mean, too analytical being what? All you can do is count the shells, and basically you then arrive at a probability that will be correct or not.
Just do it on vibes.
Doing it on vibes is valid if your luck stat is high enough.
What if your luck stat's negative?
Well, then even math can't save you. Because it doesn't matter how right you are, if the game says you eat shit, you eat shit. Dungeon Stalkers
Apparently Trump is at a dinner with Musk.
Of course he is.
Musk's gone in hard on Trump this election.
Musk understands that he's gonna end up in Guantanamo Bay if Donald Trump doesn't win.
If I had to guess, I think it might be more relating to Musk's space ambitions.
No. If Musk played ball with Democrats, he would have had his space program. He would have had his subsidies for SpaceX and whatnot. We're fortunate with the fact that he's also very principled, and he also understands that if America as it currently is, and that if the American way no longer exists, there is no backdrop. There is nowhere left to go. Vegas video blackjack is much more fair than PA video blackjack. Aha, interesting. I wonder if the Gambling Commission regulates their generosity rate. I kind of like physical games. I like when there's a physical object. I like interacting with stuff. I like interacting with cards, with dice, with chips. But I am also a bastard, and I cheat whenever I play cards.
The odds for all the video the electronic gambling machines in Vegas are very strictly
On the topic of
and
space stuff,
enforced.
what's my opinion on the pursuance of space research and all that stuff? Yes, we should be doing that. We should honestly cut a lot, most of the entitlement programs we have, and shuffle half of that money into a space program again. The reason we can't go to space is because we've just stopped funding the activation in favor of paying single child support, single parent support, and unemployment, which are honestly, it's not the, it shouldn't be the burden of the median taxpayer to do that. Like, I should not be helping create soft socialism around me by being taxed way more than I normally would, while receiving no benefit for it, by the way, because I am definitely not benefiting from there being entire neighborhoods that are dependent on unemployment as their primary means of income.
I think another factor that doesn't get talked about enough in regards to space stuff is there is a massive amount of wealth to be extracted from space.
That is also true, yes.
We could easily meet the entirety of humanity's energy needs, even projected for the next, 100 years.
Oh yeah, all we need to do
with
is
orbital solar.
All we need to do is build a portal to hell on Mars.
Yeah, or we could do that. We could do orbital solar, or we can do a portal to hell on Mars.
We can do both. If Democrats had respected and gave Musk free pass, like the other rich donors, he would still be with them. Not really. I think that he ran afoul of them when he bought Twitter. Like, they said that you can't have that, you can't break our toys, and you are now public enemy number one. You love blackjack? Well, see, I think blackjack is also more fun when you play it with physical cards, especially if they're nice cards. I'm gonna go with Mars Hellgate. Yeah, that sounds like way more of a metal solution, and also, nah, I'd win.
I'm not sure if Musk's purchase of Twitter is what soured them. I think overall he might have suspected that they were going to get in his way sooner or later.
That was the moment that they turned on him. The moment he started talking about how there is suppression on Twitter, they've immediately turned on him. He was the darling of the left, and especially of environmentalists, up to the point he turned the tables on them with the Twitter purchase. Trump will be the emperor of mankind, and Elon will create the Adeptus Mechanicus on Mars. That is way too fucking real to be funny. Chase Oliver can still win, I believe. He can win Nevada. He disrupted their control.
Oliver will win.
Yeah. He disrupted their control over information. You can't do that, exactly. Still remember clearing house at a bar mitzvah with a casino theme. Nice. You show those fucking Jewish middle schoolers that you can count cards harder than they can. See, that's why, listen, it's a valuable life lesson that sometimes you need to learn to do things well, even if your immediate family frowns on that, like being able to pick locks.
Wait, who's looking down on you for picking locks? Picking locks is useful.
Jewish families typically don't like anything that doesn't contribute to you being a lawyer, a doctor, or a very successful accountant.
So, working for a living?
Yes. Well, listen, doctors work for a living by default. Basically, anything that's not like an immediately a very obviously and directly monetizable skill in a post-industrial economy, yes, it's seen as secondary and probably an undesirable use of your time. Imagine how popular I was with my extended family, dedicating as much time as I did to full contact knockdown karate.
Oh yeah, that would. I can imagine that would not be popular among that crowd.
Especially at the expense of learning a musical instrument, which is probably my biggest sin.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay, so from what I'm seeing, Buckshot Roulette just had a multiplayer update. Let me see if I need to purchase it. Bundle, 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 DLC, DLC. There is no DLC. It's just included with the game. And I already have...
Hooray!
Yeah, I already have Buckshot Roulette. Nice, nice, nice. We are officially back. Yes, canned bean... yes, canned bread. I regret to inform you that I am in fact one of God's chosen. I am at least 50% Ashkenazi Jew. I'm sorry you had to find out like that. Yes, it is complex because there are items that let you mess with the probabilities. It's not backshot roulette. It depends on how well you play it, I guess. Yes, I single-handedly control the elections. That's why Trump lost in the last one. I looked away from the control panel for... I went to sleep at 3 a.m. and I missed... I fell asleep on the dial, and that's why the injection of the votes happened. Oh no.
You're behind that graph.
It's not behind, it's more like accidentally caused. It's negligence, not malice. It was a very unfortunate case of Hamlin's razor, okay? I left the panel and the Shiba Inu pulled the levers, yes. I'd rather have an Akita than a Shiba. Shiba are cutesy, but boy, do they have a fucking temper to them. While not being much use for anything that a dog would normally be used for. They're like a cat, but angrier.
Get a corgi. Corgis are great.
But again, they don't do stuff. My issue with most dog breeds is that they don't have utility to them. They just
Corgis
exist.
are a working dog.
How much do I know of the religious side of Judaism? I try to forget as much as possible. Like, I've read the Torah, I attend the Shabbat occasionally when I'm in town of a specific shul, within the distance of a specific shul, but more as a social exercise rather than a religious one.
Reminding his family he exists.
No, my family is mostly in Europe. It's fine. It's generally just me socializing with the Florida diaspora. Their utility is that they are cute and good boys. See, I can get a cat that'll do exactly that, and I don't have to get up every morning to walk it.
A corgi is literally a working dog. They're sheepdogs.
I don't have any sheep, unfortunately. Once I get a ranch with sheep, I will consider the corgi.
They can also herd geese, and are pretty effective guard dogs.
I don't want to get geese. Husky is a cat? You're not wrong. Huskies are also kind of cats. But way bigger, because cats can't chew entire doors to pieces, and huskies can. And I don't live in Alaska. It would be inhumane to keep a husky in Texas. You thought I was Japanese? Many such cases, canned bread. I'm sorry about that. I do.
He wishes.
No, I actually don't. I think that I'm much better positioned in life as being an American weeaboo than I would hypothetically be as a Japanese man. I see how the violent pro-Japanese nationalism could have swayed your thought process. No, I am just a gigantic weeaboo, but I do, however, hold an actual certificate in Yaijitsu and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and I am fluent in Japanese. So I guess I'm the next best thing you can get. You can't think of another religion that does that kind of thing? What kind of thing? Oh, there you go. Don't have much an opinion on this. You wonder what you think of the Jewish religious dress. So those are specific to Orthodox Jews. Mainline Judaism doesn't really subscribe to that. So technically Christianity also shares the part of the Old Testament that prescribe not wearing mixed cloth and whatnot.
I don't think anyone cares.
No one cares. Only the Orthodox Jews cares. Only the Shabbatniks care, and everyone thinks they're weird. Japan would be kind of meh for personal rights. It is. They have no personal liberties. As a karateka, what's my opinion on angry Korean karate, aka Hapkido? I really don't have an opinion, honestly. I've not seen it in any kind of meaningful way. Kyokushin has a tentative connection to Korea in the sense that Masutatsu Oyama was ethnically Korean, who was adopted into a Japanese family, and that's about it. Like, other than that, Korea has kind of failed to produce anything worthwhile in terms of hand-to-hand combat. Christianity technically can go full. It's Old Testament. We don't care about that, but the Ten Commandments are in the Old Testament. That's not how religious texts works. Listen, you either subscribe to the foundation of your religion, or listen, we're not going to get into it here. I think that I'm not a big fan of organized religion. I understand that it is an important institution in society, and I'm against its dissolution, but there's a reason why I don't really engage with it on a personal level.
And I am far too British to engage with it.
I don't know. There's a sizable Jewish diaspora, at least in North London. Tufnell Park, I believe, is where most of them are.
Yeah, but they don't engage with religion the same way that the British do.
No, well, probably not the same way that the religious do. You have no dog in this fight. Fair. You read the entire Bible cover to cover. Basically everything the church does is not in the Bible at all. Who would have thought? Well, see, you also need to read the edicts of specific gatherings, and then you also have to consider the many schisms of Christianity, because they also have their own dedicated documents and their dedicated translations of the Bible. Because it's not enough to read the Bible. There's a question of what version of the Bible you're basing it on. Because there's the
I just want to point out, Sun is rediscovering Puritanism.
Basically. Read multiple different Bibles, to be fair. Yeah. I mean, there's the Orthodox Greek Bible, there's the ancient Slavic Bible, there are the multitude of English language Bibles, there's the Latin Bible. Just an observation of that I did see. You imagine such a custom would increase one's faith. I am in the dark about what would increase one's faith. I think that, again, disclaimer, I think that religion is an important institution for society. It is a crutch for a lot of people's mental health, and it helps bestow a simple to follow moral code and moral compass, and a lot of people need that. On a selfish individual level, I still maintain that unironic belief requires the lack of some fundamental understandings of how the world works. You must brag that you recently finished reading all of Plato. Brag away.
It is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Just a sec.
Also, the Senate's called.
The Senate is called.
Republicans have a majority.
Oh, that is a fucking wafer-thin majority, though.
It is wafer thin, but they're there.
Lost 2 seats. It's not bad. It would depend on one other seat. Who the fuck is the one other seat? Oh, it's Bernie Sanders, of course. Bigger branch. You posted something questionable. Jewish religion has evolved further after Christianity? No. Talmudism, the Talmud has evolved after Christianity's formation, and that was more of a diasporic belief, and it has more to do with the occult and with lawfare rather than actual religiosity. The Talmud actually has very little to do with religious beliefs. King James demonology was an easier read than the Manus Maleficarum. Huh? So, for example, like, the reason I say that is because, like, the things that are described in the Talmud are, like, how they prescribe things like how to correctly withhold interest off of debts that are owed to you. Like, it's mostly based on practical things that have a tinge of the occult to them. For example, like, there was a case of a rabbi being owed money, and he had a winemaking business, and he unfairly withheld interest from someone who owed him money without notifying him in advance, and because of that, Yahweh punished him by souring his wine into vinegar. But then he came clean with his the person who owed him money, and they clarified the withholdings and shook hands on a new agreement, and then the stock price of vinegar shot up past wine. This is basically what the Talmud is. What the Talmud is. Cody, Trump didn't win yet. You know better. Did you message me? Just a second.
Oh, Hawaii just called for Trump. Not Trump, but Harris.
God, don't just fucking scare me like that. Okay. Cody is ready to hop in. Would you like to hog the stage, or would you like to share it? Or I can push Cody a little bit forward since he made us wait.
I'll say hi to Cody and then I'll duck out. I should sleep.
Yeah, you should sleep. Don't stay up on the account of an election. It's not going to be called until next weekends anyway.
I just wanted to see the way the wind was blowing, and it looks like it's blowing towards Trump.
It's still blowing towards Trump. We all know that Kamala does have an uncanny talent for blowing, so we'll see where that takes her.
Gonna be interesting.
Okay, let me pull Cody into the call then. Oh, damn. Both of their calls dropped. What's that supposed to mean? What do you mean? There's no way to comment on that without sounding racist? Listen. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, Cody.